Hello, everybody. I'm getting better at hopefully getting the beginning up there. So who do we got? I'm just going to say, so we are going to have a few people on tonight. I'm going to bring them up. They're in timeout right now while I do a little bit of business. I'm going to say I see hello to Mary Lynn, and I'm ready for spring too. I think a lot of people are. We were out today and I saw so many people out riding their bikes today. And rollerblading. There's still ice on the sidewalks. I don't know why people are rollerblading, but yeah, it's crazy. Hello, Jean. Nice to see you. Hello, Tanya. And so yeah, so we're just going to do a little business before I bring up my guests. So first thing, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on the video. I always forget to ask people to do that. I don't know why, but I always seem to forget that. I also, I just remembered there's something not running along the bottom of my, I guess I have to do that. There we go. At the bottom here, this is a little reminder, I do have a website now. And it's actually getting quite a bit of traffic this week. That's been kind of exciting to see it getting more traffic. So that's great. So if you have a chance to go by and check it out, let me know what you think. I appreciate it. Hello, Patrick. And I do have membership to my YouTube channel now. It's 99 cents a month, and it will get you access to some different things. Hopefully more will be coming. I did make a template for seed starting. I think it's kind of cute and just something you hang in your fridge. If you'd like a copy of it, let me know, and I can share that with you. So we are going to have Remy from Rem's Family Farm tonight, and Tracy from Tehan 141 Homestead, and Annie from Back to Basics will be coming on tonight. She's just running a little bit late. So let's go ahead and bring up the boys. And there we go.
Hey.
Hello, Ecocentric. Thank you for dropping by. So we'll, Annie just messaged me. She's just running a few minutes late, which I knew she was going to be, because this is about the time she puts her little ones to bed. That's something I haven't had to worry about for a while. So, how was everybody's week?
Hectic.
Mine's been awful.
Yeah.
It was the worst day since I got sick.
Still not feeling good, Rem?
Yeah, not feeling 100%. I mean, today is the first day that I can say I was not going to be able to go to work if I had to go to work. Up and down, like you feel good, and suddenly 5 minutes later, you're like, I'm not going to go into details, but sitting on the toilet, and 5 minutes later, you're like, okay, now I'm done. I'm good to go. And then 5 minutes later, you just feel like sleeping. It's, it's a roller coaster.
I will say, when we had it right before Christmas, there was a time where we're like, okay, we're better. And then like the fourth day, we felt worse. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
How about you, Tracy? Do anything exciting this week? Hi, Dave.
Yes, actually, I have a box ready to go to, let me read this address here. Lindsay. That's all. I have the camera. I got to get a box from the post office. Dave Knight, email me your mailing address. And Angie and Mike, you need to choose a sticker that you want. I'm just throwing that out there. Yep. But that's what I've been up to. I got Remy, your 2 books are on the way.
Awesome.
Barb's T-shirt and garden journal from that whole fiasco. So,
yeah, that was a good live. I have to admit, somebody was cutting onions around me during your live.
Yeah, it was weird. Everyone was dealing with onions.
Yeah. I just, it was a lovely tribute, Tracy. I won't say too much because I'll get emotional, but I feel like just that few minutes we saw, I know who Wendy was.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart. I don't think she had any enemies, as far as people who just didn't like her. And This cat is so.
Who's your sidekick there?
This is Richie. He's all right until I get in bed, shut the lights out, and he starts meow, meow. Or he'll sit here and to get my attention, he'll start pawing at the cords and the stuff I have sitting over here.
We had a busy week too. It started off a little rough and ended better. Aiden, we had to get Aiden's bus changed after a year and a half of this ridiculousness. We finally spoke up, and I will have to say our principal is the best. Like, she was amazing. Aiden had video and photo footage evidence of the things that were going on, and I'm so grateful he did that, because then it wasn't the kids' words against Aiden. He's just been dealing with like just crazy ridiculousness and keeping his temper, which is really big. I mean, and because Aiden, like he said, Mom, I'm easily 6 inches taller than these kids. Like, I'm a lot bigger than them. So, but he's on a new bus. It doesn't pick him up at the end of the driveway anymore. He does have to hoof it a little bit, not huge. You know, like I told him, at least he's not going all the way uphill in the snow to get to the bus. Oh, and
Right.
there's Annie. Hi, Annie.
Hello.
But he said, he goes, Mom, my bus is purely quiet, the new one. He loves it. So it's stressful, right? Because I worry, you know, gosh, what's it like going to school? And because Aiden does have triggers, and if they get triggered early, then that just sets the tone
Sets
for
off
the
the
whole
whole
day
day.
for him, right? And I worry about that. And yeah, so but it ended better, and my loofah germinated 2.5 weeks sooner than they should have. So now I'm a little bit worried that they did not germinate that quick last year. But I also didn't soak them last year. I soaked them for 24 hours first this time, and I'm wondering if that's what sped it up.
Maybe.
I'm really worried. I hope it's not going to be too soon, because it's a long time before they can get planted.
From what I read on my course, I'm not there yet, but I had an extra part for zucchinis, summer squash, winter squash, and stuff like that. In those types of seeds, since their growing zone is zone 4, so winter squash is very hard for them. And hi, Jean. And they pre-soak and germinate their seeds before planting it.
Okay. Well,
I don't know why. I have no idea why. I didn't read all the training and the reasoning behind it, but it makes sense.
According to my goal, one of my goals talking about garden goal is to be a better gardener this year and actually follow the directions for a lot of things. And one of them said that it did say to soak them for 24 hours. They said that there's they have like a coating they put around themselves or something, and soaking it gets rid of that. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not paraphrasing this very well, but it helps.
Like peas and beans also is suggested to pre-soak. I can't remember how long, but a certain amount of time, and then germinating them, and then transplanting them. But it makes sense because you would use less seeds.
Yeah, I mean, so far, as of yesterday, there was still roughly 8 that hadn't germinated, and as of this morning,
how many did you sow?
A lot, because I plan on selling some with my starts, right?
Okay.
I plan on selling.
He likes her loofahs.
Yeah, I do. And last year I only had like 4 or 6 plants, and only 2 survived planting, or 3 survived planting, and then 3 never even made it past like this big. Like, and it was my fault. It was 100% my fault. Like I own it. But I think I planted, I'm going to guess, I have to count. I meant to write. And that's the other thing. I'm trying to be better about journaling this year. I think I planted about 40. And as of right now, it looks like maybe 6 haven't germinated. So
I do hope that all of them work.
I'm bringing some with me to the conference too.
Yeah. The only thing is when I sowed mine last year, I had them in 4-inch pots about this big. and I had like this. I don't know what it's called. It's a wooden straw, I guess, and
Skewer?
I don't know. I can't remember where I got them, and I was tying them up. And when I transplanted them, they were about 10 inches tall.
Yeah.
And when I moved them, I had 5 plants. When I moved them back and forth, like for hardening off, I killed 2 because of it was like so delicate when I
Yes.
moved them around. And when I out of the 5, I had 2 plants that survived. So one died after transplant. So they're very finicky plants.
They are, and they like a lot of nitrogen, which
Yes.
I did not do. And they like a lot of sun, which they were in a lot of sun, but my garden, there was so much weeds and grass. I think it just choked them out. Like it was just not it. I had to get them planted, and I wasn't really ready to get them planted, so I kind of had to do a Hail Mary kind of plant. But yeah, I wonder if this is Jack or Lindsay.
Oh, it has to
Oh,
be.
I wonder.
'Cause it could be
Has
either
to be
one of
Jack.
them. I want to do loofah. I've been
Butternut, I'm sure it's Jack. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I want the loofah because I want them for doing the dishes. Like they're amazing for that. And and hello, Caitlin's Family Farm, and hello, Lynn. Hello, great name. She's got a great name. So I just thought, because we're all dreaming of spring, and we've already talking about seeds, and I did my seed haul video. It's a dad joke. It's Jack. It's just got me, and I was at PV today, which used to be Tractor Supply Store, and they have got more seeds than they have had in the last 3 years. They must have had 6 different companies this year, like crazy. And I'm like, okay, Lynn, you only need yellow and green beans. That's all we need.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Wait, did that work out? Were you able only to walk out with those 2?
I walked out with 2 more packs of yellow beans, 2 more packs of green beans, and 1 package of a Morning Glory that I've never seen before. It looks like a star. Absolutely beautiful. And that's it. That is it. And we walked out with 2 new nesting boxes for the chickens.
Nice.
So
That's good. That's good.
it. I literally don't need a lot of seeds. I don't. And I'm trying to realize that I don't need a lot. And I know there's probably going to be more coming my way from different things. So,
Yeah,
and
seed addict.
my philosophy is it's not hoarding if it's seeds and yarn.
Well,
Or guns.
yarn.
I mean, confused. Sorry.
Yarn. I could debate because I bought so much yarn, and I use much more seeds yearly than yarn. But if I had yarn people in here, I probably would receive hooks and needles in my face right now. But
I've gotten better with the yarn too. I have, and I was in Michael's today, and the yarn was on sale, and Lynn left without one single thing of yarn. So,
well, usually I crochet October, November, December, January, and February.
I do it
This
year round.
year, I don't have time. This year, I only took out 2 or 3 times my knitting needles because I needed some dishcloths. But like I was supposed to crochet triangle shawls to create an inventory to sell, and that didn't happen.
That's what I've been doing. Actually, I've been working on a lot of shawls, and but I find it. I even do it in the summer because it really helps me wind down in the evenings. Like once everything is done, and it helps me wind down. So
I use wine for that.
yeah, I've never seen. Let me go grab let me see if I can. What did I do with them? Hold on a second. I got to think. Where did I put them?
Star-shaped mooring glory.
Let me see. See if I can get. Hold on a second.
A star-shaped mooring glory. Star.
Ooh, I Isn't morning glory very? You gotta be careful where you plant morning glory.
Isn't
the
that
wild stuff. It's
poison?
not poisonous, but
No?
it will. I had morning glory choke out. I want to say they were potato plants. They were either potato or squash plants. Choked them right out. Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Cool. Nice.
I hope it's that. And look, well, that's. Hold on.
Got
That makes sense.
the bag.
Is that it, Lynn?
Oh, you're on mute, Lynn.
Similar. I just went to grab them, and I'm glad I'm looking for them because I think they fell out in the car. So David's running to look right now to see where they are. They had moonflowers there too, and I almost got them, but I'm like, where will you put them, Lynn? And I couldn't think of a place right away, so I didn't buy them. So, I have 3 of those photo albums, but the third one is not full by any means. There's lots of room still. I have 3 of them. But the third one only has. I'm trying to keep the third one for all flower seeds, and then the other 2 are all vegetable seeds.
You know what I'm trying to do? I have 2, and I have those old Tupperware crates that you used to put your bread in it. You know, it's the size of the like sandwich.
Yep.
You know, the long ones. So it fits perfectly. My seeds in there. I have all my herbs, all my flowers. And then I have 2 containers like Remy showed. So I'm trying this year. This is something this year and next year to only have 2. So to either share, give away, show everything, and go down in inventory, and to be more specific, like example, tomatoes, narrowing down the varieties I want to grow every year, and to gift away the seeds that I no longer use or enjoy or does not work here, so that I don't have to buy a third one. I'm trying everything not to buy a third one
They
because
were on
I get.
this one. It was on sale, so I thought I'm just going to grab it, and
I have 3 because there was a sale on Amazon for 2 of the big boxes.
Wow.
But I only have 1.5 full.
yeah.
So
Who was it? I'm just looking. Somebody said the shoebox. Sorry, I just saw a comment here.
Yeah, shoebox, I used to do that. The only reason why I've stopped using shoebox is I'm clumsy. Like, I bring coffee with me, I leave the box outside, and it rains, and then, like, the shoebox is all wet, and the seeds are all wet. Or, like, there's nothing worse than getting, a full coffee mug on your seeds.
Yeah, that's why I do like these, because you can take out the case and their water and take them outside with
Yeah.
you.
yeah, and we had a big. It's a wooden box that's Wendy. I think Wendy made it. It's a photo type box, but you take the whole thing out to the garden, and you'd end up with seed packets everywhere while you were looking for a seed. Now, if I want, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna plant tomatoes and cucumbers. I can just grab the tomato box and the cucumber box.
Yeah, I love that
know?
aspect that you
Yeah.
can separate them and, like, just grab the box. And
Yeah.
But I have
But
so
then-
many different varieties.
Ecocentric, we actually have this invasive morning glory growing on our property. The first year we lived here and it bloomed, I just thought, oh wow, I'm like, how is that coming back? Because I always have to replant my morning glories every year. I even planted morning glories when we lived in military housing. And then I found out, oh, it's the invasive kind. So far it hasn't affected us any. It's like all on the sides of our properties. So I just let it go, but it definitely gets pretty out of control. And Lynn, I just want to say there's nothing wrong with supporting your local farmer. Before I could have a big garden, we did a lot of farmers markets in our local farmers because I didn't have the space in military housing to garden. So, it's still better. You're still getting a better deal and you're still getting a better quality than going to the grocery store and doing those things too. It's not that there's anything wrong, especially when things are in season to get things. But yeah, absolutely. Bless our farmers. We need them.
Mhm.
if you're eating tonight, It's probably because a farmer, a trucker, and a very dedicated family decided to sow a seed.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not true, Jack.
Loose together, and then you just take and you just wait till a windy day and go out and throw them up in the air.
You know, sometimes, radish seeds looks exactly like cabbage seeds. So if you're looking for radishes, but then you plant cabbages and vice versa, it kind of gets weird.
This right here is giving me an anxiety attack. Like not in a package, like just the seeds are all in a bag and you don't know what's what.
I used kidding because I mean they bought the same case as us. Lindsay was showing it on Facebook and on YouTube.
I thought I saw that someone was just organizing seeds, and it looked like a similar. It's not the exact ones from Michael. It's probably one from Amazon, but I think it was Lindsay that was organizing her
I
seeds.
thought it was too. I was just gonna say I could have sworn. Didn't she share a picture of her?
I haven't been on Facebook like sitting down analyzing anyone's
and
profile,
the reverse,
but
the
I
reverse
think I saw
of-
that.
Yeah, and the reverse of companion planting works too. There are plants that do not like to be near each other.
No, that's true.
Very true.
Yeah.
Like
Every
a couple
time I
spots.
design my garden and I have like empty spots, I go like, Mr. Google Pants, what can I plant with tomatoes? What can I plant? And like now I obviously know that basil is very good for tomatoes and peppers. And when the tomatoes get really, really tall, you can overcast them with lettuce, spinach, and stuff like that. But like there's still some I don't know by heart. Like dill and cilantro goes very well with cabbages. But there are bad companions too.
Yeah.
I found David can't find the package, but I have found right there. That's the ones I bought today.
Okay, so it looks like the picture I showed, but those are open.
Yeah, and that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it
I
is.
just thought that. I said, "Oh, you're coming home with me." All right. So, as I was saying, yeah. So it's that time of year. I swear, this is like I love Christmas. Believe me, I am like the biggest Christmas lover of all. But this is probably tying for my favorite time of year. When we start dreaming of the better weather and we start, planting, and it's so funny how hyper and excited you are now, and by October we're all right. Why do we do this again?
Can you remind me why I was doing all of this again?
Yeah, but I find that when you get it this time of year, before you start planting, you look at everything you have, like all the mason jars that you have back there and all the frozen fruits and vegetables you have in your freezers, and you're like, well, that's why I'm doing this, because you have food. If something happens, like I barely go to the store other than for like milk and bread and stuff like that there.
It's crazy how little we've actually had to shop for the last 6-7 weeks. Like, I mean, we go in and David's like, do we need? I'm like, nope, we don't need that. Got 5 jars of it sitting on the shelf. It's crazy.
We went from I'd like to say about $1,600 a month of grocery to about maybe $500, and that's with the price increase. So it would probably be $300 if it was still back in 2019.
Can you did you really sit down and analyze the number you just said? It's not $100 of difference. It's it's over $500 a month. That's a car payment. That's a car payment.
Well, it just happens that everything went up, so we don't really see the difference in terms of, we don't have more money in our pockets. But if it wasn't for that, we'd be starving.
I know.
No, but it is huge. It is a huge milestone to be able to save monthly a car payment.
Yep.
Yeah. When Wendy and I were buying groceries, we had $450 a month set aside just for groceries. And I was like, okay, now that I'm alone, I can go ahead and, cut that back. But the way prices are, but man, doing that pantry challenge, I was able to take all that was, I had out of the 450, I had almost $250, $300 left that I didn't use because I was doing the pantry challenge.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, there's something to this.
Yeah.
I know we even made a rule that, if we saw something for a good price, we were still going to get it, just not use it. There wasn't a whole lot, not until the very, very near the end. And we got a good deal on those little hams and things like that. But yeah, it was crazy how there wasn't really anything to stock up on because nothing was really a good price. So
haven't been really good deals.
no,
Like I normally stock up on butter every 3 to 4 months.
wow.
I just use my last butter because when they go on special, I buy 10.
Yep.
I know everyone says you buy 10 butters. I'm like, I'm gonna go through this in like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And then if I can afford it, I don't buy 10. I buy 20. And I just freeze them. And I don't buy butter for that certain amount of time. But like I haven't seen a deal since I think the last time it was on special. I think it was in September or November, and we're in February, and I refuse to pay.
It didn't even go on sale here for Christmas this year. It really
just before Christmas. I think it was in November. I refuse to pay $7 a butter. I refuse to pay $7 for butter.
I know.
I broke down. I've got butter in my freezer, but I broke down and bought a tub of margarine. But because the butter, if I take out a stick of butter, I've literally had butter, and I've had people tell me butter doesn't go bad. It tastes sour after a while.
Because the temperature of your house is maybe a little bit too high.
I use a butter bell that something my great grandmother would have used.
Oh, yeah, with the cold water.
In that, and my butter it lasts a lot longer now. And that's the one I keep like my salted butter in that I might use for toast or potatoes, things like that. You get them on Amazon, of course. All hail Amazon. It's great. You just have to remember to change your water out every couple of days. So we jumped ahead, but I forgot there might be some new people in here tonight. So I'm just going to start with Remy, and you guys just real quick, say who you are, a little bit about yourselves, and then we can get into some questions I have for you.
Ooh, you have questions?
You have questions.
All right. My name is Remy, and I have a family of 5 kids. I live in northern New Brunswick, and I try to grow as much food as possible while having a full-time job. My girlfriend is a stay-at-home mom, and she suffers of Meniere disease. So there's a lot of stuff that she can't do, unfortunately. Like she can't put her head down. She can't help me really in the garden because of it. There's a lot of stuff, like even in the kitchen. She can't stay next to the boiling water for too long. So if last year I did fiddleheads, for example, I had 80 pounds of fiddleheads to blanch. There's only so much she can do to help. So yeah, it is a big challenge for me to do all that by myself. But at the same time, the kids are getting a little bit more involved every year. And
are the kids doing Shed Wars Junior with you?
Yeah, they did.
No, I mean this year. Are they planning on doing it?
Yeah, I'm guessing they will. Especially since John told them last year that if they go for their second year, they get a free T-shirt.
Ooh.
So they're gonna go, even if it's just for the T-shirt, they're gonna do it.
For sure.
So, just to plug your channel, in 2 weeks, Remy, you're going to be talking about Shed Wars, right, on your channel?
Yep.
So,
on February 24th, I think it is. I will have Robert. John can't make it. I will have Robert, and he's going to be talking about all the new rules and all the different things that's going to happen this year.
So everyone might want to. I'll share that on my community tab too when it's closer to the day. But just mark that down. So if anyone wants to know about it, I personally am not participating because stuff like that causes me more anxiety and stuff, and it takes away why I'm too competitive. I get competitive, and then it's not pretty.
I am too.
That's why I decided if I get accepted for Shed Wars, I'm not doing it for the competition. I'm just doing it to share the journey. And the bonus out of it is I'm just going to get some food. Because the reason, number one, why I was not doing Shed Wars is because of the pressure I would put on myself to be in the competition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. I am
You
going
get
to
the
weigh
control.
things though this year. I'm
I'm sorry?
curious. I never think to weigh how much food I grow. So,
That's awesome.
Annie, if you just want to introduce yourself real quick.
Sorry, I'm hearing like something weird.
Oh,
Okay, my kids are not sleeping and they're chanting upstairs.
Well, they're happy.
Yeah. Okay. So I am from Canada also. I am in the province of Quebec. I am a solo homesteader. On 1/3 of an acre, I grow as much as I can. I have some chickens, some ducks, and some meat rabbits. Other than that, I grow different gardening styles, in-ground, raised beds, containers, and I just try to do the best with the knowledge that I have. And I am starting year 6, being as self-sufficient as possible. I have 3 kids. My husband works full time. So this is why I say I'm a solo homesteader. He helps with the infrastructure, and I'm in charge of the rest, mainly.
all right, Tracy. Where were they? Okay.
Hi, David.
He found
Hey,
my
David.
he found my other pack of beans, but no morning glory seeds yet. I know. I walked out of the store with them, so they got to be around.
You know,
He hit the brakes real quick at that point, and I heard things, and I said, "I think my seeds just went flying." And he said, "No, they didn't move. This is my seeds. They moved." I told you they were flying. All right, Tracy.
My name is Tracy Hand. I've been pretty much canning and stuff most of my adult life with my wife, and we had a small 2/3 of an acre homestead in Port Lyden, New York. And we said, you know what, we want to try this off-grid thing. So about 5 years ago, we moved. We bought 20 acres and carved out our homestead. Then my wife got sick, so I ended up doing a lot of it alone. But and then she passed. But so yeah, I'm homesteading alone, and I just dive into the YouTube and try to share the lifestyle as much as I can. I try a little bit of everything. I do back to Eden gardening with the wood chips, and this year I'm going to try doing some regular gardening in some land we just cleared up, and hopefully build a barn so I can get some more animals. And what did I forget?
You did say you were in New York, right?
Oh, I'm in upstate New York, not the city. Not the city.
Yeah. So Tracy is our honorary Canadian in our group. That's what I have bestowed on him. Remy, I just want you to mention how many pounds when you were all done last year for Shed Wars did you grow?
The last day that counted towards Shed Wars, I had 1,656 pounds.
Wow.
1,656 pounds of food. I'm just going to put that up here and then do this.
And a few days later, I had a deer, and I'm already up to 80 pounds right now. And my chickens
For
are
this
not.
year?
Yeah.
when
Because
are you able to start tabulating this year?
They didn't say the official date yet, but usually it starts around the 20th of March. It's just
Okay.
that you have an advantage when you're in Shed Wars for a second year. Everything you do from the end of the season until the end
Okay.
of the following, it counts. Like what I do this winter counts.
Okay.
So-
Can I be the
Well, see, I thought it was going to be a disadvantage for me on my first year, but then I just use it as a another way to
motivation?
push myself, and
Yeah.
because I'm competitive like Lynn, that's why I wanted to do it. I wanted to be in it, and like I'm in it to win it, baby. Like I'm just gonna go all out and grow as much as I can. I had like a garden here, garden at Sarah's property. I had a garden at the community garden. I had a bunch of chickens, turkeys, everything you grow, everything you can forage. I took a foraging lesson online I had someone showing me mushrooms, all kind of stuff like that. They're hunting, fishing accounts. So I went all out.
Yeah, that's the foraging part is what I certainly would like to learn a lot more before I attempt to. I don't want to kill myself or my family but that's
Well,
the part where I
Fiddlehead,
definitely wouldn't do well. I wouldn't do well with it.
Fiddlehead is end of May, right?
Usually I'd like to say beginning of May, depending. In your zone is probably beginning of May.
End
Because
of
usually
April, beginning of
here,
May.
usually here we go on the second week, and we're always kind of a week late. It's only good
Yeah.
for like 2 weeks.
In Maine, I think it was sometime in May that's the last time I had them. I have not had a fiddlehead since I got married.
I
Oh,
never
yeah?
tasted Fiddlehead. I don't even know what it tastes like.
I'll bring
Apple cider
some to the
vinegar or with some butter. They're so good.
It's rare that when you fry up something with butter and garlic, that
Mhm.
it's not good. Have you ever tasted something sautéed in butter and garlic? Has anything taste bad?
I don't think so.
Cabbages, mushrooms,
Oh, I don't like mushrooms.
asparagus.
Put chocolate
well,
sauce on mushrooms and I won't eat them. So, ugh, cannot stand. I'm sorry, Tanya. I know you love mushrooms. Like
Well, I love
mushrooms
mushrooms.
are like your.
I love mushrooms, like the little ones from the store when they go on special, 84 cents a package. I think I buy like 10. I make like a cream of mushroom, and then I make this huge sauteed with a lot of garlic, a lot of onions, and I eat it with hamburger meat and like these gravy sauce instead of eating sauteed onions. I'm hungry now.
For me, it's the texture. Though I will say, my dad made portobello's one time, and he said, "You're not going to believe this." He said, "You're going to think this is steak," and it did taste like a steak. Like I'm like, it does taste like a steak. Like it was crazy, but I don't like the texture of them. Not. And Mary Lynn, there's no such thing as too much garlic. If I know I'm going to eat too much, I just make sure David eats a lot too, so then we're okay.
We're fine. Yeah, that's the thing. If everyone eats garlic, you're fine. And also the same thing applies for onions.
Dana, hi Dana. I think this might be the first time in here, and now you're speaking my language. This was like a main supper on the weekends when I grew up. Fried fiddleheads and fresh broke trout. My grandmother made it. It was so
very
good.
well with fish.
So
Okay, Nightfall Homestead. Like I'm starving right now. Just at the description of what he said, like mushroom with butter, garlic, and grass-fed beef is an ultimate meal.
yeah, where is that? Oh, there it is.
Now they had also asked Remy, and Remy answered them about Shed Wars. But
Yeah.
I believe you can look up the hashtag Shed Wars, and all the Shed Wars videos should come up, I believe.
And Tanya, this is not just for Canadians, because the men who
International.
it's international, and the two men who started it are actually in the States, right?
Yeah. There's less in northern climate. They're more concentrated down south. Well,
My husband grew up in New Brunswick, Dana, actually. So, and we are hoping, fingers crossed, in the next few years, we will be New Brunswickers again. We're hoping.
I'm hoping so too.
We're hoping. I pray on it nightly.
New Brunswick is a wonderful province.
Oh, we miss, there's just something about the ocean too, like the smell, the feel, the sound. We are, I grew up playing on it. Like, that was my family all grew up. My great grandfather was a salmon fisherman and lobster fisherman. That's what he did. So, Tanya and them are actually going to grow their own mushrooms this year.
Nice.
That's one of the things they're trying. So I just have a few questions. I didn't want to go too crazy because, quite frankly, I am exhausted. I've been battling headaches all week. I haven't had a migraine in quite a while. I actually haven't had to take prescription meds for my migraines in quite a while. And this week has been, I think it's the temperatures fluctuating.
Can you use peppermint oil?
Yeah, I try it. Oh yeah, I do that. I use everything before I have to take something.
Okay. So you did try the essential oil trick. It didn't work.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Sometimes they just don't.
And if it's persistent, could it be that it's just your neck?
No, I started getting them gosh, when I was 16.
Okay.
And
Well,
it's
because
just-
sometimes it could be that you have tension in your lower neck,
Mhm.
and that tension like squeezes. I can't remember the name of it, and it goes up to the bottom of your head, and it creates migraines sometimes.
Oh, they're not. I actually, I'm one of my blood pressure pills I used to be on. I'm not on that one anymore. It actually was a migraine medicine plus a blood pressure pill. But where I hadn't had migraines in so long, I told my doctor we might as well switch them, and I don't need them, and I haven't. Knock on wood. But it's been so much. The weather's been so cuckoo crazy this week. So, so I'm going to start with Remy first, just because he's right here.
Other side.
Side, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
I keep messing up when I do that.
Yeah. Here's my favorite question, and it's a big one. What are your garden goals for this year? Like, what do you hope is
I'll be back.
Oh, you hear the dog. Someone's there. I think I had about 700 pounds of vegetables last year. So this is what I would like to have again this year, at least. But I've been struggling lately with cucumbers and radishes for some reason. I don't know why. My radishes, they just go into seeds almost right away instead of growing the bulb. So I would like to have some radishes next year. This summer actually, and cucumbers is something that I wanna grow because we love cucumbers. It's a good snack for kids. It's a good side meal. Something you can eat with any supper. Mostly good vitamins.
Collagen. They're high in collagen, and they're a good way to keep hydrated in the summer.
And even if you have too much, what we did the last time I was actually able to grow them, we had a lot, and I put them in the blender, make a little kind of water with it, put them in the freezer, made ice cube with them, and then I go to work. I put one or two in my water, and I have the taste, I have the vitamins, and it keeps my water colder. So I really want and I really need to get more cucumbers this year. Those are my goals.
Okay. Tracy?
More better. I want to be more better. No, I want to. I'm expanding the garden this year. I've got my back to Eden garden. That's the main thrust, and then I have the area where we opened up and put the driveway through for the barn, and I want to put garden on either side of that. I've got some wheat that I want to plant. I know I'm getting into. I watched Darren from Thorhaven Farm. I know I'm getting into an awful lot of hard work with that, but I want to try some wheat, and I want to finish better.
Yeah.
Every mid-August, when it's time to start getting enough harvest to actually bring in and can, something happens, whether it's to me, to my mom, we went with Wendy there for a while, and I end up collecting seeds for next year instead of a whole lot of fruit. I mean, I get fruit, and I can beans and tomatoes this year, but I want to finish better. So I want to restock the pantry really good, and just have that sense of, hey man, now I have a freezer. I'm off grid, so the freezer is a big deal, and it worked all winter.
Good.
So now I can bring in tomatoes, throw them in a Ziploc baggie, and freeze them. And then when I get enough all at once, I can say, okay, what do I want to make with these?
Yep. The you can freeze them, and then like fall, winter, Tracy can take care of them.
Right.
Annie, what are some of your goals for your garden this year? I know you've got a lot.
Actually, I don't have that much. It's I want to do less for more. So I'm trying to optimize my garden. I want every garden bed to be about, okay, obviously I can't like be too picky because like when I started building it, like I didn't know what I know now, but I want to optimize every single garden bed I have. By doing that, I will be more efficient on a long term. So when I sit down and plan, I know that every garden bed measures 16 feet long. I won't have to say, okay, well, this one is 18 feet. Well, this one is 20 feet. Well, this one is 30 feet. And then like just go completely crazy trying to figure out when I do garden planning. So this year I'm focusing, like I'm investing much more of my time so that for future years, I save that time. And I am also narrowing down the varieties that I want to grow. So like now my green beans is provider beans. Those will be my every year bean that I grow. And then Gold Rush will be my yellow bean. And Dragon Tongue bean is like the 3 bush beans that I normally grow. And if I see something fun, well then I'll give it a try. But until I find something better, those are going to be the 3 that I have, and I'm going to buy them in bulk.
I always get sucked into the fun. I see something fun.
Yeah, well, this is something like when I started, I had all the fun. Like I had all the beautiful varieties, but they were never when I came to harvest them, I had like 1 here, 2 there, 5 here. But then when you grow the same variety, you're going to have 50 pounds coming out of the garden at the same time. Yes, for people, they prefer having like 1 pound here, 1 pound there, because they don't have to preserve it.
Right.
If I harvest 50 pounds of beans, I have to blanch them, freeze them, or dehydrate them, or can them. That's like really what I'm trying to do, finding like the varieties that will bring me high production. I do still include beauty. Like here, like obviously I'm going to have slicer tomatoes that has like beautiful colors in them and all that. But I have to remember why I'm doing this. This is for feeding myself. And if I can, I will add a raised bed just for beauty. Like maybe probably not this year, but if I can add somewhere on the property, like just flowers, ornamentals, trials, so that I can figure out if I want something to introduce something new or just for beauty.
Yeah. I'm actually adding some more flowers this year because the ones I'm growing are pollinators. They're attractors. So I mean that, that's important for your garden. And just, as excited as I am to see my fruit and vegetables, it's just as exciting to come out and see the beautiful flowers, right? And just, I always say God is the original artist, right? And just to come out and see the gorgeous colors from my flowers and see the bee. And I had so many bees last year and butterflies on my zinnias. Holy moly. Last year was my first year for zinnias. And I'm like, okay, I'm growing you every year for the rest of my life.
And they're going to come back more and more every year because you create this environment for them, and then they will learn to come back because they know that there's food.
Yep. Oh yeah. That's what I'm yeah. And I mean, of course the sunflowers were covered in them too, but I'm kind of like Tracy. I want to do more better. I always used to say I was a terrible gardener in the sense that I planned a little bit, but for the most part, I didn't necessarily track how big my raised beds were, and I just go out and plant. And so I've actually started a spreadsheet. I'm taking a page from Remy's book, and I started working on my Microsoft Word spreadsheet today, all week actually, and I've been finishing it up today and keeping track. David is actually, we started planning that today too. We're revamping the whole garden this year. One, it looks so awful. It just looks awful. And if we are going to sell this house, I think having that, as hard as it will be to say goodbye, I'm hoping, because we live out in the country, chances are who's ever going to buy this property is going to be somebody who's going to want, I would think, a vegetable garden or something. And I think if
something
look,
established. Yeah.
that's gonna be a selling point, right? Like we can say, look, we've already got a vegetable garden like already for you here. So and I told David, like, he's got my hopes up. So he's on the hook now. He's gonna have to follow through. And he just told me, he said, even if I'm overwhelmed and exhausted, I'll never tell you. He said if he has to spend every weekend in March and April building it, then that's what he's going to do. Because I told him, I said, look, you're the one, like, he's going above and beyond what I even asked for. So typical of him. But that's our main thing. We just wanted, because the weeds were so, I think they were horrible last year. And I did so many things. I did the weed fabric, but we did weed fabric. And that stuff's terrible. It's no good. It rots. It falls apart. My weed fabric, actual heavy duty stuff just arrived today because it's on sale right now. If anyone's looking, it's on sale right now at Amazon. And it's heavy duty. Like, we opened it and like we couldn't rip it. We can't tear it. Like, you actually have to burn a hole in it to plant your plants. So we're hoping that's going to help this year. And I'm going to plant my beauty kind of like on the outskirts of my garden. So kind of like thing. So that's the main thing. And like you said, Annie, just I'm planting less in the hope that I get more. I know that sounds crazy, but like last year I planted like, oh my gosh, I think like 140 bell pepper plants.
Wow.
And
I can't say then.
I would get like 1 or 2 peppers off of every other plant or something. And I'm like, you know what? If I can just plant stronger, better plants and get 4 or 5 bell peppers off a plant, well, then, you know, it's the same without as much work. I'm trying. David's always saying to me, work smarter, not harder. He wants me to work smarter because I'm like Remy's fiance, who I have Meniere's disease and left over from chemotherapy. And it makes things challenging. And I'm certainly not old by any means, but as I'm getting older, I need to think about, you know, how much less I'm going to physically be able to do, because I don't want to stop because of physical reasons. Like, it's not, that would just drive me crazy. So, yeah, that's my goal, is just to kind of be a steward of all this work I'm putting into it. And you know, and like, I'm like Tracy too, I want to finish stronger though. I was so worried. I always get worried. Does this gotta happen to you guys? Like, you start, the day they go in, I start worrying. Are they going to grow? Are they going to produce? Are they going to do anything? And like mid-July, I was like panicked. Oh my gosh, I have nothing. I have nothing.
I try to see it as is. I'm going to cross the bridge when I get there. So as soon as the plants are transitioned outside, there's like, I've done everything I could. There's like, it's in someone's hands. Like, I've done everything I can. And then when they're transplanted, I just like take the extra care to make sure that they don't go through transplanting shock. But from there, if anything happens, you're going to cross the bridge when you get there. There's no point in worrying, because the more you worry, you're going to waste time looking for disease that's not there.
Oh, Annie, you don't know me very well, because I could worry about worrying.
Yeah, well, I do too. I do too. But this is something I'm trying to do. Like, you have to let go, because if you don't let go, you're going to lose precious time in the garden. So instead of analyzing if your plants are sick or there's a problem, you could just be bringing a cup of, I'm going to say a cup of wine, but I wanted to say glass of wine, or a cup of coffee or tea, and just sit in your garden and look at it. And enjoy.
I'm looking, and David's even talked about building me a bench inside my garden. And I'm like, if this works, and it turns out, I might even do some lives from my garden this year. That's another goal.
I look at it as this little bean here. This is one that Thor Haven sent to me.
Yeah, Matilda.
Yep. This little bean right here has everything it needs to sprout. So all I need to do is make sure that once it sprouts, I put it in the right place. It gets water, sun, and I put it in good soil. And in the Bible, Paul says, you know, I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. I don't know how it goes from this
No.
to a bean. So all I can do is put it in the ground, and then the rest is up to God, man.
I know. I think for me, it was the Every Bits Cats challenge last year in August. I was so disappointed because I was filming and I felt like I don't have a lot to film for you all because my garden's still not. And then the third week, all of a sudden, I'm like, woohoo! So I get caught up because I watch everybody else and I have to remind myself, I have to say, Lynn, they're not in your zone. That's why they're harvesting in July because they live wherever. So yeah, that's and I will say I'm going to pray over every seed I start this year.
The thing is, they started earlier and they harvest earlier, but they don't grow more stuff than us.
No, I know. It just seems like it, right? I guess to me.
Yeah.
We're
It gets
always
too warm too fast.
I was watching Mike and Bobby at MB Heritage. It was November, and they were talking about planning, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a live stream. This isn't from this summer. And he's like, yeah, he says we have a winter garden. We have winter planning, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't realize that was a thing.
Did you see Kevin and Sarah from Living Traditions today on Instagram? They were hardening off plants today.
Yeah, to plant in their high tunnel. Yeah.
So
they're in Missouri. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Missouri get winter?
They're in 6 or 7. I can't remember if they're
okay. So maybe they don't get quite as bad as us.
When you have a tunnel, you can transplant 4 weeks prior.
Okay.
So let's just say that you have green onions or cabbages, and you can transplant them end of April. If you have a tunnel, you can plant them end of March.
Okay.
So if they're in zone 7, I think
they have their greenhouse too, and I know they said they're actually going to grow.
And they have a professionally installed greenhouse. They don't have the temple converted structure, redneck style,
a nice one,
poles and everything. So the heat retains it. Like really good. So if they can, and I know that they start transplanting their tomatoes in the beginning of May, if my memory is correct. So it makes sense that I'm starting some stuff and to be ready to be transplanted end of March. And if they're hardening off seedlings now, it has to be cold-hardy crops like cabbages.
It is. There was like a lot of lettuces and stuff, and they take things to their farmers market too, which I think opens. I think they said it opens in March there. So
it makes sense. It makes sense. They're either 6A or 7B.
I throw it in the ground, and if it grows, it grows, because if I care about it, then it dies. That is so true. You baby it. It seems the ones you baby and care about the most don't. I'm in zone 5B. I mean, I'm assuming you're similar where you're at. So I can go a little bit sooner than typically we used to grow. We used to plant things in the ground May 2-4 weekend here. That's our long weekend in May, which is the weekend before Memorial Day in the States. Last couple of years, I have not been able to plant then. I look ahead and we had snow June 3rd. It was very cold this last year. So who knows? 5B, that's what I'm into, but I can start. So a lot of things got planted. It was close to mid-June last year just because our weather was so wonky, and that is late for us here. Really late. Okay, so what exciting new plants do you think you're going to try this year, if any? Is there anything new you want to try this year that you haven't grown before? Me? Or you want here? I'll go to Annie first, and I'll come to you while you think.
Anything new?
Anything new that you haven't planted before that you're going to try this year, even if it's a new variety?
I'm trying a new white Asian cucumber that's supposed to be high tunnel made. It does well. It does well in greenhouses. I'm going to say application. And then another one that I'm trying is it's a Roma style tomato, Granada, and it's something like that. It's an F1 variety, and it's supposed to be one of the highest yielding tomato plant, paste style tomato. So I have high hopes for this one. What else am I doing new? I'm adding row covers. Well, I have to invest in row covers first, but onions, beets, Swiss chard, spinach, cabbages. If I can buy row covers for all of that, I would be very happy. And if I can make the investment, I would love year after year to cover my garlic instead of hi Lily.
I had to pick her up. I swear she knows and she wants to say hi.
Hi. So I'm trying to see how much I can cover, but I know it's not really something exciting, but if I can not harvest by hand little creepy crawlers on my cabbages and like my onions, that would be great, because like I have to put like that white powder, diatomaceous earth, like every couple of hours to kill all the bugs and then remove all the bugs. Lovely.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I am trying new is, like I explained, I am growing 4 weeks prior to my growing zone. So I am doing a whole trial for transplanting outside March 20th. And now I'm in the process of calculating to do 4 weeks past. So I'm also like to be like zone 6, about being zone 6, zone 7. So I'm hoping to have, after all the garden is done, to transplant in the greenhouse stuff to be harvested in November, beginning of December, like cabbages, greens, Asian greens, turnips, rutabagas, and stuff like that. So I'm starting the seeds for the spring, and I'm in the process of planning for the winter sowing, the winter garden. It's a lot of logistics because there's no sowing calendars.
No.
So it's like I'm trying to see if I can make it work, what works, what doesn't work. And I'm going to be using a row cover. So it's going to be in the tunnel. During the night, it's going to be covered with a row cover. So it's going to be like tucked in. And I saw something on TikTok that I want to try. These old Christmas lights radiates heat.
Oh, I saw that. I did see that. Yes. Yep.
So not the Dell version, the older models.
Older
so
ones, yeah.
I might like go up my parents and say, "Do you still have your lights?" No, they're condemned, Marilyn, at the moment, and yes, it's going to be an inside joke. Right, and right now my tunnel is condemned because I had a cat that digged his way in. So I had to condemn every single entrance from like left and right. He was like going and doing his poo-poo stuff in my tunnel. So I can't plant any root vegetables in the ground for at least a year. A year. I have to search. It's a year or 2 years. I can't remember.
When we lived in PMQ, our military house, the last one we lived in, we had new neighbors come in with a male tomcat that wasn't fixed, and I did not know it, but he was using my garden as a litter box until we eat a tomato that tasted like urine. I said, this tomato literally tastes like I was so sick. And I said, am I crazy or what? And of course, no one else in the family likes to eat tomatoes. So David went out and he looked around and he found evidence. He said, there's a reason why it tastes like urine.
Yeah, my neighbor, it's 2 males cat. I do hope they're fixed, because my raised bed, last year I found him like, when you empty out the garden beds of leaves and all of that, they're all prepped, they're all cute and like they're ready to be planted. Well, this little dude decided he was going to use it as a litter box. And like every single day I was opening my side window and like And I went to my neighbor. I'm like, seriously, like I love your cat because like he's resolved the issue of like mice in the house, but he's gonna become sushi if he keeps using my litter, like my garden beds as litter box.
Yeah.
Something that you in the early season that might help you a little bit with that is they have motion sensing sprinklers. So
I'm not allowed to have automatic sprinklers here.
Oh. There are things you can plant too that supposedly will deter them.
Catnip? Yeah, I heard catnip. Like if I plant somewhere catnip, like away from the garden, like really
Citronella too, because it's such a strong smell.
Yeah.
They supposedly don't like that.
Fred says
catnip will draw them.
Oh, I will draw him. Fred says he's gonna be at the window, use his BB gun, and go. Beep, beep, beep.
I mean, I love animals, but it's like, come on, you know. And I mean, out here we do have a couple of feral cats, but our dogs chase them off, or we go out and chase them off.
Jean, I would add electric fence, but I have young kids, and I would be so scared that they would like
mothballs. That was the
other. It won't hurt them.
Their hair gonna be like this for a couple of minutes.
No, my brother, when my brother was like 9 or 10, he had this. Well, it was one of our cousins, and he got him to pee on the electric fence. And if you do it long enough, you will get zapped because it's an intermittent thing. And the boy was fine after a while. The shaking stopped, you know.
Oh.
So,
Tracy, you have anything new you want to try this year that you haven't before?
Other than peeing on a fence?
No, I'm not peeing on a fence. We used to have that. Everybody would join hands, and the guy closest to the fence would grab the electric fence. And the thing was it was the guy on the end that got jolted.
You guys had weird things going on.
Yeah. Growing up in Cowtown.
You guys have to see this.
Neglected dog. Lily.
I worked at my computer all day yesterday, and she slept for 45 minutes like this while I was typing.
Wow.
Just,
my cat want to get.
Isn't she your daughter's dog?
No, it's not my daughter's dog. It hasn't been my daughter's dog. It was supposed to be our daughter's dog. And Lily said, no, I am your dog.
Didn't you get the note, Mommy?
But it's like the vet said, she said, you can't pitch, you can't, they decide who the person's going to be. You can't always, know who they're going to go to. And maybe if Grace was on her own at home all by herself, like she would obviously be here, but she is. Yeah. My husband says all the time, he looks over and she's laying across my chest, her head right up here, out cold. And he'll look at me. He's like, yeah, that's your dog. I said, you think?
How is she with the pug?
Oh, she loves him, but he's like, he's an old cranky man. He has no interest in this hot new chick that's in the house. He's like
news.
Too young for him. When we first got her, he played with her. He was like, oh, okay. But after like 2 weeks, he was like, yeah, I'm too old for this crap. He's very cranky. He grumbles and growls at her because she wants to play, and he's like, I'm old and I got arthritis and I don't want to play with you. So we've thought about. We've had people reach out wanting us if we're interested in breeding her, and we never were gonna. That was not anything we were ever gonna do. Part of us now is holding off on spaying her because if we do, we'd like to keep one. 12, right? Puggy's 12 this year, and
it starts with one. It starts just with
it does, yeah. But we moved to New Brunswick, and we got our guardian dog. David doesn't know it, but when we moved to New Brunswick, we're going to have a guardian dog on our property. Nice. But yeah, so anything new, Tracy, that you want to try this year that you haven't tried before?
I received the gift of some Longkeeper tomatoes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm excited about them. And then from M.I. Gardner, those they're the large red tomatoes that he brought back. They were from an
Giant
80.
Oh, the
Giant Crimson.
Yeah,
giant crimson, yeah.
and they were like an 80-year-old seed packet, and he got some to sprout.
That's so
and
cool.
and
I forgot to order mine this year. I don't have
oh
some.
no,
And I won't place an order just for one pack of seed.
No, and if you put an order, of course you're gonna have to order more and
yeah.
Slippery slope.
I know you guys are just getting me up there to the conference because at one of the days we're up there, you guys are all going to set the chairs in a circle and hi, my name's Remy and I'm a seed
Seed
addict.
addict.
Hi, Remy. Hi, my name's Annie.
Well, Patrick wants me to be the president.
There's a difference. We could say I'm a seed addict and I have no regrets.
No regret. Yeah.
No regrets.
Yep.
So, Remy, are you going to try anything new this year you haven't before?
I have a friend of mine who keeps telling me to go over there and grab a few of the black currants. Is that what they're called? The berries?
Yep.
So I'm gonna go there, and basically he told me to go and grab a few plants. So I'm gonna go and grab a few plants. I want to get more things like that this year. Maybe a few apple trees, a few pear trees. I don't have any pear trees here. The thing with apple trees is they take a long time before they're mature enough to bring apples. But if you start now, they'll be ready in 5-6 years.
Well, if you get the hybrids like we've got, you'll have in 3 to 5 years. We should have apples this year. I'm hoping on our trees, but we won't talk about my pear trees because if we talk about my pear trees, then I'm gonna cry. So,
Well, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, hybrids and dwarfs.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Dwarfs, not hybrids. Dwarf apple trees.
When you get dwarf, they're going to produce earlier than maturing trees.
Yep.
And from what I understand, when people establish an orchard, for them to have earlier crop, they tend to have at least 1 or 2 dwarf, like let's just say in apples. If they have all apples, they're going to go with dwarf to have it within 3 years. And then they're going to have regular ones to have like for later on. But the dwarf will only produce a certain amount versus the one that is a regular will produce, once it's at maturity, will produce a lot.
The orchard we go to do our U-pick, they have, I'd say 50% dwarf because they have a lot of them. And then they have 50% of their older mature trees. And they still can't get enough people to pick them all. That's how many they produce. They're the ones I kind of picked their brain when I was saying how, I don't think we'll be here for 25 years. Can I
dwarf,
get apples?
What's it called? Not Gala, Honeycrisp. If I could find 2 dwarf Honeycrisp, I would plant them here. I know that I'm going to regret saying this because we might move, but I would love to have Honeycrisp in my backyard.
Do you think it'd be a bad thing if I dig up my apple trees and take them with me?
Well, depend what it is, because I know Honeycrisp, if you do a baby of it, you have to, comment tu dis greffer?
Graft it?
Yeah. You have Honeycrisp, you have to graft it onto.
I understood a little bit of that.
That's my tired brain going on. So Honeycrisp, you have to graft it, but some you would be able to make your own babies from it. Like take some clippings.
I'll probably just do what we did here and get the fair roots again, and then just wait the 3 to 5 years, and or maybe even get them a little bit bigger. But my pear trees died on me at the end of fall when I was actually putting them to bed.
Is there any sign of life now? No.
They fell right out of the hole, fell right over, and
what happened? Oh, you had something under, or was? Oh, that's sad.
I totally believe they sent them to me way too early. And I emailed them and I said, these weren't supposed to come for like another 3 to 4 weeks. I said, I can't plant these yet. And she's like,
they
oh,
were bare
no,
roots, right?
yeah. She said,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. She said, this is what she told me what to do, keep the roots moist, so they don't dry out. And I also got a climbing rose bush from them too. And it said right on my email, they would not be mailing them until the first weekend in May. And I got them the first weekend in April.
Oh,
And I was worried. I mean, I told David, I said, I don't think these are living. I don't think they're doing well. And we planted them as early as we could. And I knew through the summer, I knew when I planted them, they probably, but I just,
There's no chances, since it went in dormancy right now, there's no chance that
we were covering them because we were covering the different plants in the fall, and I went over to cover them, and like the stick that was just there. I mean, not even little leaves, nothing came out of it at all. The stick was like, I went to put it down and the stick just went thunk, and
They
I went,
should have some kind of warranty on that.
yeah, I
usually have a year.
I'm glad I wasn't recording because I literally sat and I went over to the other one, same thing with the other one, and I cried. So homesteading, but that's homesteading. Animals die, plants die. I mean, it's just unfortunate.
There's always the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah,
There's always that.
It cost me. I mean, they were $60 a piece. Those pear trees. And to me, that's a lot for us. I mean, that's that's not.
There should be a warranty. I'd call the company. I really would.
I might reach out because they're not open through the winter. So
I would ask, because the worst case scenario,
they take orders through the winter, but there's nobody answering customer service.
They might give you a rebate on a future order, and even let's just say it's just that. At least
I still have my paperwork too that came with them. I kept all my receipts from last year because I wanted to add up how much I spent on my garden.
You shouldn't do that too often.
Yeah, I'm not doing it this year. Actually, I was going to say we're going to spend less this year, but we're not, because the thing David's building is going to cost money, but I'm not buying as many plants and stuff. But Remy, you already answered that about what you're trying new. So what's my other question here? What aren't you going to grow this year that you may have done in the past and you're saying no more this year?
Well, last year I did a lot of different varieties of different things. I had burgundy beans, purple beans, and stuff like that. This year I'm just gonna go basics, the yellow and green beans. Same for tomatoes, a bunch of different tomatoes. I'm gonna try the giant crimson because I have some. I'm gonna try the long keeper, but I'm not gonna go with 30 different kinds like I had last year. Yeah, I think that's it. There was one more thing, but I don't remember. There was cucumber melons. I'm not gonna grow cucumber melons anymore.
Me either.
They're not worth it.
Nope.
They're good.
Don't say that to my kids. My kids go in the garden and go, I can never bring them inside.
It's small for the amount of space it takes and the amount of care it takes. I find.
I put them on. Okay, I have makeshift cattle panels, and I spread my tomatoes 18 inches apart, and I start them inside. I don't direct sow them, and when I transplant them, they're about, I would say, 8 inches tall, and they just grow between my carrots. And if you harvest them early, they taste good. If you harvest them after the heat, they taste like this weird sour taste.
Oh, okay, maybe because mine were very sour, and I didn't plant any other cucumbers.
You have to harvest them when they're very, very small.
I mean, they were small. They were small, and I thought I grew them last year because I thought, those will be easier to pickle than pickling cucumbers because I won't even have to slice them, right? I could just, and then the taste of them. So I'm not growing them this year either.
I have to have them, or the kids are gonna be, you didn't do cucumbers.
Tracy, are you what are you not growing anything this year that maybe you have in the past, or?
Well, I grew sugar beets last year, and I'm not doing those this year. It was a lot of work. I know how to do it now, Somebody said, well, gee, you just should have just took a potato masher to them instead of cutting myself all up trying to use a manual grater. I got to stay out of the kitchen. That's where the most dangerous place on the homestead is the kitchen. But yeah, so I probably won't do the sugar beets this year. And I can't think of anything else. I'm not really going out of my way to not do. I want to do some more corn, but I can't think of anything that I'm going out of my way not to do other than sugar beets.
Okay. Annie, anything you're not going to grow?
For sure, I'm no longer growing potatoes.
Me either.
For many reasons. Number one is the year after, if you don't add enough manure the year after, whatever grows in that soil like won't thrive. So like it becomes like this Tetris of like, okay, so I planted potatoes here, so I can only plant leafy greens there for the next year. And like it created this like frustrating thing. Like every year, like there's certain areas of my garden that I can't plant because it's too shaded. And then I have this logistics. It was too much logistics. And the second thing is I cannot get them to grow big. So I haven't like decided 100%. So if I can get my hand on a old plastic bin, I'm just going to put 100% compost, vermiculite, and something else. I'm going to put a couple of potatoes in there, either the ones that I have here or from the store, and I'm going to do maybe 1 or 2 towers. So if I do grow them, it's going to be specifically and only in tubs.
I grew mine in tubs last year.
And I'm still hesitant. I have 2, 4, 6. I have 8 square feet of I have nothing planted there. I still don't know if I'm going to plant corn. So I might not grow corn this year. Because I get so much sorry, I'm tired. There's an insect on corn that keeps coming back. Earwigs.
That me too. The first harvest of corn is fabulous. The second harvest, it's infested.
Yeah. They got mine.
Yeah.
And I can go right down the road. We've got some of the best sweet corn in the world in upstate New York. It is just awesome.
Our farm that we do pick our strawberries and blueberries and they're wonderful people, and they're literally our neighbors, and they did corn last year and it was such a success. They're going to do it again this year. And we just went and picked, they said, just go down and, pick as many bushels as you want. And we
I probably will buy 2 bags of corn and just can it. Cause it's it doesn't make sense for me. Like if I grow corn, I'm going to get a dozen.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of space. And,
a lot of space.
Yeah.
I'm not doing potatoes this year either. We're lucky. We have so many farmers around us. That's one thing I will miss. We'll have to find all them again. He sells 50-pound bags of potatoes for $20. And they were
wait. At the end of the season?
Yep. Or, the season when it's potato season.
I might have to do a trip in Ontario.
they're amazing. And he even does a fry truck for the month of August and September on the weekends using their own potatoes, and they do up the fries and they literally they're right by the elementary school my kids went to out here. They're right over there. And they do a little farm stand too with other things. And, I can bless my neighbors, who are feeding us, and they're doing all the work. And the potatoes were amazing. They were so good. I mean, literally my mouth, they were so flavorful. Like people will say potatoes have a flavor. Yeah. When they're good, they have a flavor. And how can you beat that? 50-pound bag of potatoes for $20.
They're white potatoes, right? They're not yellow?
White and red. White and red.
If I could find a 50-pound bag of Yukon Gold for $25, I would buy 5 bags. I know that those have a lot of starch in it, and when you can it, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
but those are like my favorite.
And I don't like
Favorite.
them as much. Isn't that funny? I'm not.
I
a steak
like
fan.
to I like to I'm sorry, I'm so tired. My brain's mush. Patate pilée,
Mashed potatoes.
mashed potatoes. So I do I get them like to where I want them. Add the liquid. So I keep about a third of a cup of the liquid of the potatoes. I put milk, lots of butter, and I just blend everything. And it's like super smooth. And I mix them very often with some acorn, butternut, or buttercup.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's really good. Really, really good. Like I
Yeah,
can
I'm-
hide some squash in there for the kids. Like they won't know they're eating squash.
That sounds good.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. And I do my shepherd's pie like that now. Like I add a part of squash in it. Lily,
my legs are falling asleep.
Lily, you should build a bed on your desk for
I
Lily.
know. I need to put something underneath here, but yeah, we're going to be blessing a lot of our neighbor farmers this year because I'm going to be getting some things from them that I'm not, that way I can focus on the things that, like, especially like bell peppers. They're so stinking expensive here.
Yeah.
And we have them several times a week with different meals. I mean, we had them with, we had the best breakfast this morning. I'm telling you, from the freezer. It was my own potatoes that I grew last year, little ones that I had blanched and cut up, bell peppers that I grew and cut up, purple onion, one of mine that actually made it. That I cut up, and I made my own O'Brien potatoes, they're called, Potato O'Brien. You can get them in the States in the freezer section, already done. And I put them in the hot burning skillet and with some scrambled egg. And I'm telling you, they were so
Can
good.
we stop talking about food right now?
But they were so delicious. So, and I mean, and there was bell peppers in the breakfast too. So like bell peppers is one that I will always grow because we eat so much of them and they're so expensive.
They're now I think they're like 3 small ones for like $6.
So they were on sale 2 weeks ago. It was like a pack of 3 for
$4.99, I think, when they go.
No, they were $1.89 here for a pack of 3, and I bought 6 because I bought 2 packs, so I got 6 of them. And we had some fresh, and then I dehydrated the rest of them because I wanted to see. I think
Are you frozen? Are you frozen, Tracy, or your mouth just like dropped?
No, I was trying to play like Patrick did the other night, but I got the blink lights behind me.
I was gonna say, like, you're trying, but the lights are moving, and
yeah,
Yes, you do need that little sling.
they have
Yeah.
dog, and I keep telling David I'm going to get one, and he thinks I'm ridiculous. But I'm going to just order one because I told him. I said she loves to be held, and I might. This sounds crazy, but she's like, it's like having a toddler again. It took me 3 days to film my seed haul video because of her. I literally, every time I would try something, like, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. So we've had family members who have had dachshunds, but we didn't live with them. I did not realize how clingy they are.
They seem to love cuddling.
They're very cuddly, and she does have separation anxiety, which we are going to be working with the trainer here in the spring. Because like the vet said to me just last week, it's going to get worse if we don't do something. And it's hard on the whole family when one of us always has to stay home if she can't go with us. Right. It's hard. So yeah, they need their person, and I'm her person. I'm her only person. Apparently, there's 3 other people in this house. So my last question is there anything different that, not just like food wise, but anything you're going to try different? Like me, I'm going to try to be a better steward and keep track and actually read the packages and say what the packages tell me to do.
well, I'm gonna try to be more efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I went all out on a bunch of different things, and I literally burned myself. This year I'm not gonna do the quails. I'm not gonna do like
Okay.
chickens. I'm gonna have a few layers. I'm gonna have my meat chickens and my turkeys. That's all I'm gonna have for animals. Well, I still have the rabbits here, but I'm not gonna go crazy on bunch of vegetables that I'm just gonna plant because I want to try them. I'm gonna plant what I know that the kids are gonna eat, or that I know that we're gonna eat. I'm not sure about the potatoes yet. Thing is, my dad has a big spot behind his house. The property is not his, but the way that it's done, the owner. I'm gonna confirm with them anyway. I'm gonna ask them, but I doubt that they would mind, because my dad's property ends, and then there's like 50 feet, and it's like an empty field, and then there's a bunch of trees, and like a few hundred feet after there's a road, and I don't think they would do anything with that little piece of land. So I'm gonna ask them to be sure, but I would love to have that tilled out and turn into a potato garden at some point. Share with my brother or even my parents. Have something more for the family. But yeah, I'm gonna try to be more efficient for sure. I need this. I need this done the right way.
Yes. Yeah. No more. Excuse the language. Half-assing it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Can you repeat the question? I just want to be sure I
I
understood.
just want to know anything that you're going to try different, not grow different, but try stuff different. Anything you're going to try and like, I know you're doing a few, you already said that you're going to try, like you're growing things earlier. You and
yeah, those are trials that I'm doing.
The other Annie. The other.
I think I have all this energy into planning. It's the first time that I plan this much.
Me too.
And I'm like, a friend looks at me, like my husband, he's like, you've been doing this for like a month now, over a month, and like you've been redoing it. Like, or do you think we're ever gonna be done? So like I'm doing this like so that I can actually, the thing that I want to change this year the most is I work 7 days a week from sun up to sundown. I want to change that.
Because that's how you burn out.
Well, I'm not burned out this year. Like I crashed, but I didn't burn out.
Right.
I burned out at the beginning of the season because I got the C. So I think I got like just before the convention in May. I think it was like, when was it?
Yeah, I remember it was a few weeks before because
It was in April, I think. It was the long weekend. Oh, it was Easter weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, and you got the big C.
Yeah, and like it hit me with a ton of brick before my season started. So like I struggled all summer long, but like I had to get through that to understand that I need to take care of myself first. So I think this year I would love so that after dinner on Sundays, it's family time. And what I mean by family time is we leave the house and we do something. Like it doesn't matter if it's a walk or if we go to the park or we go to, I don't know, we make a picnic. Like we make a picnic and we go eat it down the street or at a friend's house. This is something that I'm realizing. The only thing I'm doing is sun up to sundown, work. And then school comes from school, and then I just do homework, cooking, cleaning, dishes, and then washing machine. Like it's like I'm always working here.
Yep.
But so I want to change that because like I know like homesteaders is a lot of work, but I don't want to just survive.
No, I think that's great. It's like Dave and I realized when we were sitting down this year of goals we want, we never got a single hike in last year. And we love hiking. And I'm like, did we seriously not go at all last year? He goes, Lynn, he said, our hiking boots are still in the closet. And I'm like, wow.
I think I'm having a midlife crisis because I'm realizing that I'm getting older. I'm still young, but it's like that me and Annie from Mama Homemade keep saying this, that we might be in midlife crisis. Like we're realizing certain things that we're only working. Yes, we enjoy what we do, but we don't do anything else.
Yeah.
Well, you need to, in particular, you and even Remy and you need to enjoy. Your kids are little. You need
Yes.
to enjoy this point in their life, and this is where you can really impute to them your interests, your knowledge, your love, and they'll really, well, before they hit the point where, oh, Mom, can you drop me off a block from the school?
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
not ready for that yet. I'm not
No.
ready for that
And
yet.
no,
well,
but you
and you're
want to
not-
enjoy them.
You'll never, I think I shared on Facebook a few weeks ago, memories popped up of Grace when she was 3 and her dance recital. And I had done those photos. And I can remember like so well. My memory's not great, but I can remember taking those pictures. And she's 19, almost 20. And people will tell you it goes by so quick. And I would roll my eyes because I'm like, gosh, everybody says that. It's such a cliche. Well, everybody says it because it does. And I mean, I love the young woman she's turning into. Like, I'm so proud of her. But oh, my mama's heart just, if I had known the last time she crawled into my lap to ask her to read to her was the last time, I would have read so many more books that day.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a little teary eyed because it's, I think, Annie, my advice would be, and if it's good for you too, because if you book that one day with the kids and you do that with them, they're going to be so happy because one, they know that's the day we do things with mom and dad and we have fun. You might be able to get a few more things done through the week because the kids know that one evening mom has time for us and we do things. Mom's not working in her garden and stuff. And I think it helps you. It helps them too. It helps you because that would be me. Because whenever I would lose my temper with them, it's because I was so overwhelmed. I was trying to do so many things, and then they would need me, and I couldn't get them done. And that's when I would lose my temper and yell a bit and then I have to realize, wait, we're overwhelmed, we're overstimulated, we're trying to do a gazillion things.
Yeah.
And because I was mom and dad a lot because David was away on tours a lot. And that's my only advice. Like, I think it's great that you do it. You take that one day and this is the day we're going to do things, whatever it is.
We started doing that too. Every Saturday is now a family day. We usually either play board games or lately we've been going in my aunt and doing like little karaoke night. Unfortunately, what happened last week, everyone got sick, so nobody's going to sing tonight, but probably going to start again next week. The kids enjoy
Wouldn't it
it.
be sexy with that voice?
I don't know.
Sorry, I just had to say, I'm so
You probably wouldn't have very much lung capacity though to sing. You'd probably,
sorry.
Sing some Barry
yeah,
White.
we always did that. Friday night was always game night. We do games. We would do board games or card games, or we tell Aiden, okay, tonight we can, if you want to do video games, because we had the Wii then when they were smaller, and we would do the bowling and all that, because even Gracie would like those kinds of games. But
Well, Friday night for us
Yeah.
is pizza night and movie night, but
Yeah.
like you're not exchanging, you're not bonding, you're just sitting
Right.
in a vegetative state and you're just watching
Yeah.
TV. So that's like,
Yeah.
I really want to, like, this is why I'm investing so much time now so that I can optimize my time during the summer, in that if I take that time off, I don't feel like, oh my God, how am I going to catch up?
Yeah.
Because I remember
Yeah.
when I went to the conference, it took me 1 full week to prep to leave the homestead for one day.
Mhm.
And knowing
Yeah.
specifically that on that Sunday, I probably would feel like jet lag from the Aldi event and
Yeah.
not work. So it took me 1 week to prepare to leave the house. And then it took me 1 week to catch up because
Yeah.
I was so exhausted on the Sunday and the Monday and the Tuesday that like I was delaying work. So I don't want that anymore. Like, that's something I really don't want anymore.
No, I don't blame you, and I don't, and I think that's probably something we all struggle with, whether we have kids or not, having that work, because it is work. I mean, it is work. It's work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
and it's
I
like
treat it as work.
all through the week, especially when he's full time again in April. Thank God he got his full time contract starting April 1st. That's a big. I've been a little stressed about worrying. I don't know why, because like David said, I'm going to get one, but until he gets it, you worry. So we got another one, but he works Monday through Friday. So I feel terrible that he spends all weekend working too. And I'm trying to make an effort to make sure at least one day on one of the weekend days he can do whatever he's wanting. He just, whether it's just to watch a movie, catch up on, he likes this crossword puzzle game that he likes to play or whatever. Like, just, I'm trying really hard.
But you know what? If you're out in the garden with him, even if he's working for you, if you're just there with him,
I'm gonna
helping him and bringing him a glass of water when he's thirsty, he's probably happy doing it.
I'm a great tool passer. I'm really good at passing tools. Though, I mean, I plan on, like I told him, I said, I don't plan on having you do this all yourself. Like, I mean, I do want to be out there too.
He's probably enjoying the time you have together.
Yeah.
Is he going to be semi-retired also this summer, or he's going to be fully?
No, he's full-time until September. And then he's part-time October, which is awesome because October is still great weather. So we can still get a few things done where he's part-time. And then he goes full-time again for November and December. And then he's part-time January, February, we think maybe March next year. It might be 3 months next year. The stupid Canadian government. Somebody wants, it's just somebody, like, they're punishing somebody who wants to work.
Yeah.
And they want him to work. Like, his boss is like, oh, what are we gonna, Dave, we still got all of next month with only part-time, And I mean, I like him being able to have, like he said, like, it's nice for him to have the time off, though. It is. I mean, he does work hard. So I married a very hardworking man. The man does not know. He tells me all the time, I don't know how to relax, but it's the pot. All the kettle black there. Though he can relax a little bit quicker than I can, I will say. But yeah, my kids are older, and Aiden's hoping to get a job too. He turned 16 in April, so he's hoping to get a job. Well, he has to get a job this year because if he wants that car in a year, once he has his license, he's got to have some way to pay for it because mom and dad aren't doing that. So
he's going to love the insurance bill.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're getting him driver's ed for his birthday.
The insurance on his car.
Yeah. Well, the driver's ed's supposed to help insurance. So
really? That's nice. We didn't have that.
Yeah. They told us if we get him driver's ed, we'll save about $900 a year on insurance for him. And I'm like, geez, how much is it going to be if we're saving $900?
Well, it is expensive. The younger you are, and I find this so sad now because lady drivers are as bad. But young men pay more for insurance.
They do. They told us that too. They said, she said, Aiden's going to pay more than if it was your daughter. And I said, oh, I know, because this happened with all my cousins that I grew up with. Their insurance was more.
Ironically,
but if he also, here in Ontario, we have graduated licensing. So no matter what age you are, you get your G1 first, which is what we called a permit when I was growing up. You have to have that for a whole year before you can go for your G2. And that's the one that allows you to drive without a licensed driver in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take driver's ed, they knock 3 months off of that. So he can get his license in 9 months. And when you're 16, that 3 months is a lot.
It's precious. It's precious time.
Yeah. And so Dave and I are getting to the point in our lives where our kids definitely don't need us as much. So our time now together is precious. So we like to try and take that time and go hiking and do, like, I didn't have a live last Saturday because I went for date night last
Lucky
Saturday.
You.
It was horrible.
I remember I saw that you had bad food, right?
Well, so this is the thing. Saturday night's a stupid night to have date night because everybody in the world is out on date night for Saturday night. And then we decided to go to the new place, which we've been wanting to go to, which is Piper's Arms Pub, which is it's supposed to be a British style pub. And I was really excited because we've never gone to the one in Belleville, and they had opened one here in Trenton. And we made a reservation. Oh, sweet Lord. One, it looked nothing like a British pub. They did not do a whole lot of renovating at the old restaurant to make it look it. TVs were everywhere. Okay, fine.
It's a pub, so TVs are there.
And you are like this with people. There was no privacy. I literally so I'm sitting here and there's 7 men right here. And like, they literally could have touched me. We were that close. And then they put us beside this other table of 40 people who were there for a birthday party. And they gave our waitress to them too. So she had all 40 of them, plus us, plus the 2 behind us, plus the 7 guys. So 25 minutes goes by and we still haven't gotten our appetizer. And I'm like, okay, I know they're busy. I don't want to be that person. And the noise level got so bad, David couldn't hear me because, of course, he forgot his hearing aids, which honestly, he probably would have had a hard time with them on because it was so noisy. I don't know if he would have been able to handle having the hearing aids. Finally, a half hour goes by. David goes and finds the manager and says, look, is our meal and he's like, oh, no, it's not ready. David's like, no, that's good. Can we get it to go? Because they do takeout. And they're like, oh, is there a problem? It is just way too noisy in here. And the waitress came over and she said, it's crazy noisy in here. She goes, what the heck is going on? It's so loud. I couldn't take it. My anxiety was just, I was at a 10 by the time we left. We walked out with our meal, got into the car, and we both went, because it was quiet.
We're not used to the boom, boom, boom anymore.
Oh, it was so loud. It was so loud. So we got home, and I had the chicken pot pie, and David had a club sandwich. And it was, I'm not going to say it was bad, but it wasn't it's not like, oh my gosh, this is amazing kind of meal. And this is why we haven't ate out in so long, because it seems like every time we do lately, it's just not that good for what we're paying for it.
Yeah.
But we made the most of it. We came home, we told the kids, we're not here. We're on date night. We're not here.
Bye.
And they're like, okay. So we sat at the table, and David being David, he makes me laugh every day. He just starts saying something and we lost it. And we were laughing out there. And so we made the most of it. We watched a movie later. And so we made the most of it. But yeah, I said, next time date night's like a Tuesday. It won't be so crazy.
We have to go. It can't be the 1st of the month, the 15th of the month. It has to be on a Tuesday for sure, because everyone, usually restaurants are closed on Monday, some of them, because it's a quiet night, and Wednesdays. Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, it's always crammed up.
Oh, I said to Dave, I said, what were we thinking? A Saturday night in a new restaurant. He said, we're so stupid. I think we were just so excited to do date night.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've learned a very interesting lesson.
Well, we're so tired through the week. And this time of year, I'm sorry, but I'm in my pajamas at 5:30 at night. And I even got dressed up. I put on my new sweater. I did my hair. I did my makeup. I really went all out, and it just we have been in some busy restaurants. I don't think the noise level has ever been that. And even David said, he goes, I have to wonder if they're actually allowed to have this many people in here. It was that crowded. It was crazy. Even the waitress was she couldn't get over how noisy it was. And the group of 40, they are waiting. There was about 6 or 7 of them there when we first got there, and then all the others started coming in slowly over the half hour. But those 6 or 7, I think, had been there for a while. If it's anything, judging by all the empty drink glasses on there, they were getting louder and louder every 10 minutes because they were getting more alcoholic drinks, and it was getting and I don't care, but it was just too much for us. We are just. The noise, David, I could see him, he was clenching, and ever since Afghanistan, David doesn't do crowds and noise very well. So,
let me guess, he always wants his back to a wall or at least a high back in a spot where he can see the door.
And they put him they gave us a table right in the middle of the restaurant. We weren't allowed to have the booth because 4
Yeah.
people were coming. And he was really, when I said, do you want to see if we can get this to go and just go home? He was like, up. And like, I'm like, yeah, okay, Lynn, we need to leave. So, it was just, it was, and like the problem around here is all of our restaurants are like that. We don't have like a non-sports related type restaurant around here. We don't. Everything, there's not a nice restaurant you can just go to and have a nice quiet meal. There's none of that. And I think it would do well if they had them. I don't think we're the only ones.
There is one. It's called Your Kitchen.
Sometimes Lynn wants a night off. I mean, I had cooked every single meal for like 42 days.
You asked Dave to cook. Dave cooks,
Mercy.
and you sit.
David grills. David's a good griller,
Mercy.
and he's a good heater upper if it's a freezer meal.
I can imagine that when you guys go out, I mean, all of you guys are good cooks. When you guys go out, there's a high bar set. I know many times Wendy and I we would go out and I'd say, honey, you could have done a better job on this at home, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like David's, he said his sandwich was good, but I mean, like, really, how can you mess up a club sandwich? I guess you could, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Everything is possible.
Yeah, and the pot pie looked good. It was like an actual single pot pie. I thought it was going to be a slice of it, but they actually made like an individual, and I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. It looks good. And then I ate it, and like, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I just don't think our meals were $62 worth.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we have around here that's worth it is Pizza Delight, which is a little bit similar to Boston Pizza, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh God,
miss
I
pizza.
tasted Boston Pizza here, and like,
We don't
Well,
go to
it
We went to
doesn't taste the same, but I mean, it's
you mean
similar.
similar, yeah.
Pizza
Like
Delight, garlic fingers with cheese with the Donair sauce. And you can get those now at Costco. The garlic fingers with cheese, but Pizza Delight was the only place we had when we lived in Greenwood. And we loved Pizza Delight. But
Well, if you come to my wedding, there's 2 nearby.
oh, good. Yeah. No, so that's why I didn't have, but yeah, so that's why we had date night. So we're trying to do a date night once a month. So I don't know what we're going to do next month. I really don't. We'll see. And then May, it's kind of a date weekend because we're going to go to the conference. We're going to go and stay for 2 days.
nice.
It's gonna be awesome.
No, I haven't had 2 nights. Actually, I haven't had a full 24 hours without my kids away from home with my husband in like years.
How old's your oldest?
10.
So it's probably been 10 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we're celebrating I'm going to be 40 this year. I was hoping to have like an event, nothing huge, but like me and Fred like celebrating with the family and then have a night out just with us and not feel the pressure of coming back home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, okay, it's 12. We have to be home. We said we're going to be home. Like, just enjoy and not feel like stress and like deal with the hangover. Because like when we went out on January 7th, like we were dealing with the hangover and lack of sleep. We arrived home, we were like, no. and the kids haven't seen us in like 12, I think it was like 12 or 15 hours. And they were like, ah! And I was like, oh my God, where's my cupie?
I think we had 2 babysitters out of all the years. When I was working at Zeller's and we went to my Christmas party, we had a babysitter for 2.5 hours. And we had a babysitter when we were packing to move. We had a babysitter come over and because Grace was like 9 months old and have her watch her while we were down in the basement deciding what was going to go and what we're going to have the movers pack and all that. And we heard a thump and then we heard a cry. And I came running up the stairs from the basement, and she said, "Oh, she rolled off the couch." And I'm like, "Well, where were you?" So my mom watched her for us when she would visit and stuff. But I mean, so I couldn't wait till Gracie was like 12, 13.
Yeah, when our oldest got turned 12, it was a whole new world for us. It's like, oh, we have someone to babysit for free at home.
Yep. She
I
took
get
she took the stay home alone course. We're lucky the military runs it there at the.
Yeah, they offer that with school.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
offered it to my daughter because she's 10. You have to be 10 to take it.
Yeah, you have to be 10 here too.
Mm-hmm.
My granddaughter took a babysitting course when she was like 10, but I get to babysit the smaller kids. Well, I say smaller. One of them's 12 and 12, 7 and 22 months. And the 12 and the 7-year-old are both able to change the diapers now. So I'm just there.
That's one thing my dad wouldn't do. He was like, someone has to be with me when I babysit because dad didn't do diapers.
Well, I told my daughter the last time I babysat, I said, yeah, I had to change a diaper. And she goes, wait, you changed the diaper? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, do I need to check on this? And I'm like, I cleaned them up best I could, I mean, without putting them in the tub. And she's like, all right.
Do you guys
I used to
remember
change.
when like you would always like sit down and your lunch was warm? And you have like you're like saliving on your meal because it's warm and like the baby is sleeping or doing something, and then you hear that.
Yeah, I used to change the diapers, and it would always have the worst when it was my turn to change the diapers. Always.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's daddy.
Yeah.
Or my
me,
girlfriend
What
would
did
leave for
you
work
feed them?
when I was home, and as soon as she would go out the door, every single time, from their neck to their knees, every single time.
Yeah.
Num num num.
Somehow that diaper was never tight enough.
Enough.
I feel like mom did it on purpose.
Annie, do you remember? I can remember. I swear there was one day I heated up the same cup of tea like 62 million times because it seemed like I could never finish that cup of tea.
Sometimes I lose my cup of, well, not now, but like when they were younger, I would lose my cup of coffee. Okay, like I just freshly brew a coffee, drink, warm it up like a quadrillion times. And then for a reason, I would lose it. I would make myself a new cup of coffee and then like open the microwave.
And there was.
and all I had to do was warm it up like for the billionth time.
Oh, for me, Grace did not sleep. And my friends would say, what do you mean you feed her and she stays up? I'm like, I feed her and she stays up for 2 hours. Like she just didn't go back to sleep. And David was in Afghanistan, so I was all on my own. So I learned I remember those smiley faces. Do you know those McCain smiley faces? I could cook them, cool them down enough, and eat them in the time that she would have the 15-minute nap at 9:30 at night. And that's what I would eat because I could cook them, eat them, and get everything done. I can't even look at them now. I can't even look at them. But our babies weren't sleeper. And then she hit about 6 months right after David came back. David came back from Afghanistan, and she'd sleep from 9 at night to 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, little shit. Sorry.
And why is it? What were you said this was so hard. Now I'm home and I'm seeing this isn't hard at all. She's sleeping right through the night.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't sleep. At least one of my children still wakes us up. Last night it was Cedric. The night before it was Emilia. The night before Philip. Like I don't know what he did. He fell off his bed. There's always something, and like. I told my husband, there's no point you going chop chop because every single time we go, there's a kid coming in our room.
I always wonder how families with like 10, 12 kids, how the heck they get all them kids, because like
Probably when the kids were at school.
Bedroom is downstairs.
I just mean like I never knew how they found the time to make more.
No cable and good locks.
You see, in my bedroom, I've always asked this question to Fred. There's like this, it's a century-old home, so we have the original doors from the original house. It's not like changed door. And I was like looking at the door, and there was this bolt, but from inside.
Oh.
So, and it's the only door that, well, the previous owner removed it, and painted over it. But the other room that we have does not have that, and the other room was classified as the master bedroom. But from seeing those locks from inside, we
was
are
master.
technically in the master bedroom, because
Yeah.
there's like holes on each side of the door. So they were locking themselves in.
Well, yeah. And when I was growing up, we weren't
to
allowed
have,
to hang
to
out
have
in-
that moment.
No, we were not allowed to go into our parents' room at night. And like, you know, if we had a nightmare, I might knock and say, Mommy, I had a nightmare, but I didn't just open the door and walk in.
Well,
I remember when I was a kid, I was just too afraid to get up, so I was just crying in my room. Mom,
We were-
come!
yeah,
I had a nightmare.
we weren't allowed to go in the house a lot of times during the day. Go outside and play. Go
Yeah.
outside and play. That's probably what they were doing. And-
Doing afternoon delight.
yeah.
No, but seriously, like we'd get up, we'd have breakfast, we'd get dressed, we'd go out, we'd come back for lunch, we'd eat our lunch, we'd go out, we'd come back for supper. And if it was summertime, we got to go out until it was just before dark. We'd come home, Mom would put us in the tub. We might have like our ice cream or whatever. And then we would be like, Mom said, you'd be falling asleep at the kitchen table. Like you're out. And we were in bed, right? So,
Or we play hide and seek in the dark.
yeah.
I remember doing that a
Oh, I
lot.
remember that. Gosh.
There was
That
a
was
bunch
so
of kids in the street that were pretty much all the same age. I think I was one of the oldest. There was
I one of
another
the oldest,
one.
too.
One of my cousin was pretty much the same age as I was. But then there were a few like within 5 years range. And I mean, when I was like 11, 12, 13, they were like 8, 9, 10. So everybody was just playing hide and seek together. We had our limits. We can't go further than this property, can't go further than this property.
Yep.
Can't pass the
Yep.
tree lines back there, and let's go and hide.
Yep. Avoid that house because that guy was a creep. I remember that. And one guy, like my mother, no, she would say, "We don't you go near that house." And honestly, he ended up going to prison for
Oh,
Yeah. hurting a child. But
You're saying that I had a neighbor. I was almost a grown adult. I would walk with my mom, the dog, and the garage door was like right open in the middle of the night, not middle of the night, maybe 9 o'clock at night, and it was lit, and he was butt naked, fixing his garage with the door like wide open, like on the street. So he would be on his a 2-step stool, and you would see like the sunrise and the sunset, and he was not small. And then he would turn around, and you would see the belly. And I never saw the thing, but I was like 16 years old, and I was like,
that's mortifying when you're 16.
hey neighbor!
like I knew what it was.
I didn't realize. I didn't
knew
realize
what
it was that cold out.
Yeah, I was not insulted. I was not I didn't feel threatened or anything. He was in his garage. He can do what the hell he wants in his garage.
No,
but
his name was actually Mr. Strikefoot. I'll never forget it.
But the door was open. I think his wife played a trick on him or something.
Yeah. But he always gave you the heebie-jeebies, and he always wanted you
that's
to
not
come
fun.
in and talk with him, and oh come on, and the adults in the neighborhood knew there was something up with him because they would warn all us kids, and they were right. I was one of the oldest too, so I got to be the boss. I bossed everybody around.
Yeah. One of our boundaries was the Black River. Behind our house I'm going to say a mile and a half was the Black River. It was all woods between our house and the Black River. And then you had Murphy Road, which went down to the Black River. You had our road, and then you had the little creek, which is still there. I'll have to videotape it sometime. But we had water was our border. I wouldn't let my grandkids play next to the river unsupervised.
Nope. The rule was if my mother yelled for us, we had to be within yelling distance. Like we had to hear her yelling, Lynn, Jillian. And if we didn't come within a certain, she knew we were further than we should have been.
My mom had this woo-hoo! And then you would have other people down the road saying, Tracy,
your mom's looking for you. Yeah. And
Well,
then, if we didn't get quick enough, then we would hear the two names, Lynn Ann, Jillian, Phyllis. And we knew we were in trouble when both our names was being yelled.
And our parents had to almost like punish us because we didn't want to go back in. Like, okay, you're gonna come in and that's it. Like,
you gotta get a bag.
we're trying to get the water. They don't want to go out.
Like we if we wanted to go out, we would do all our chores and like do everything that was required from us, like just like to go outside.
Yeah.
And then like my mom would say when it's dark, if you're not inside the house, there's going to be consequences. And I hate it. If she wanted to like kill me from the inside, she would tell me, you're going to stay in your room.
Yeah.
There's no TV in my room. There was books, my bed and my stuff. That was it. There was no
toys.
Hear
everybody playing outside, right? You'd hear all the kids outside playing,
yeah.
and you're like,
and like I'm like, okay, so if I want to play outside, I have to play by the rules. So I played by the rules, and as soon as I saw that, I think it was like 7:00 in the morning, I was about to go outside. Mm-hmm. I was out. Bye. Like I'm bye. Yeah. And then she says, as soon as I was able to read time, she's like, if you don't come, I think it was like 11:30. If you're not home by 11:30, you're not going back outside after. So I made sure to bring my ass home by 11:30 because I wanted to stay outside.
I mean, and my kids did. I mean, my kids were out a lot. We were. Once it got nice enough, we'd pack up and we'd walk down to the park because we always lived. The military house we would try to pick would have a park on the street, so I could once we had the kids. And we'd go down and we'd go down there. And my kids' favorite thing in the world to do was to take a picnic. Yeah. I mean, they loved it. It was just something about packing up that little cooler and eating down at the park or whatever. They just loved it. But like when I was 10, my parents sent me to the store to get milk and bread. And it would be maybe a 10-minute round trip, and I'd have to cut through the back field to get there and get it and come home. I never sent my children to do that. Heck, Aiden, he's gone to the store on his own for something when, we've been gone and he wanted to go down and get himself a treat at the convenience store. But that's just been in the last year or so. I can't imagine sending my kid at 10 down to the store here. Like when we moved out here, our street's insanely busy, but they also would send me with a note. My dad would send a note saying, hey, Cheryl, whoever was working, Lynn's got money to buy my cigarettes. And they would I could buy the cigarettes for my dad because I'd have the note signed by him. Take home with the milk and the bread. Can you imagine?
Today I had a hard time turning my back. There was this snow festival in our village, and Emilia and Philip wanted to go on this it's a side-by-side ride. They has this sled in the back, and I'm like, well, I'm not on it, so you're not going on it. And Emilia looks at me, Mommy, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna follow the rules, and I'm gonna do everything. I want to go. I'm like, okay, but here are my rules. If you don't follow my rules, I will come and pick you up myself off that side-by-side. And she's like, okay. So she sat on it, and then she came back to me. She's like, Mom, there's space, and can I stay on it? Like, can I ride on it until the man tells me I can no longer? So my two kids, Philip and Emilia, rode on that thing, I think for about an hour. And then Cedric wanted to go.
Oh.
So turning my back on my two eldest in like a crowd is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
But having to watch Cedric going on that side-by-side ride, and I was like, okay, he's going to listen. Like, I have to trust him because at one point he needs to grow up. He
Yep.
did so good.
Oh, see?
He did like a champ. He held the hand of his
It's so
brothers and
scary,
sisters.
though, when you're in a
But
crowd
then,
of people and, oh,
yeah,
it just,
I know I'm in a village, but like it happens. It
Yeah.
Well,
happens.
Yeah.
my sister-in-law was at the cream cheese we have the Kraft cream cheese factory in Lowville, and they do a cream cheese festival every year, and basically they close down the
Yum.
main street in Lowville, and she was talking to her daughter, and she turned around and her son was gone.
Oh,
And she was panicking, looking for him all over, and finally she went to one of the police officers, and they scolded her because a lady saw the kid standing there right behind her, thought he was missing his mommy, and took him to the police. They scolded her, said she didn't look, she wasn't watching him good enough. And she said, "Excuse me? You ever touch my child again without my permission, and I
yeah.
will kill you."
Oh, I would have lost my,
Oh,
I would have, yeah.
I think I would go sideways. Boom!
Yeah.
Like when I obviously he probably meant good. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he meant good. But I would go, I don't want to snoob in your business, but I just want to let you know that your son, daughter is right there. You know?
Yeah.
Did you, or I would ask, did you see, or I'm sorry to bother you. I'm a parent. I am seeing this and I'm just worried.
Yeah.
Would you need some help, or
Yeah.
I just
We're
want to let
just
you know.
saying, hey,
Yeah.
does anybody know whose kid this is? And then she could
Yeah.
have turned around and said,
Oh,
"Yeah,
he's
that's
with
mine."
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were, oh, okay. We weren't sure if he was with somebody, but
it can happen so fast though.
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
my
so
brother,
fast.
I think Bren was about 2 years old, maybe 3, and I don't know, she did something wrong, and reprimanded her, and she went downstairs in the basement, but not in her bedroom. She went like on the other side of the basement where she never goes. She hid in a corner somewhere to cry, and she fell asleep.
Oh,
But my brother didn't see her go downstairs, and like he literally went crazy. He's like, okay,
Oh,
she's missing. It was in April, I think, and he has a river on his
oh,
property.
yeah.
He went up and down the river looking for her, thinking that maybe she went next to the river, maybe she crossed the road, got hit by a car. He went and looked in the
Oh,
ditch, and like he called my mom because my mom lives on the other side of the river from him. Like, did you see Bren? Like, is she there? Did she decide to walk? And he
oh,
literally went crazy. And then suddenly he goes downstairs and you could hear snoring, and he's like, okay, this is not a
It's
normal
it's
sound. And he goes there and he
yeah.
finds her. Like, and I mean, he was looking out for her, but she went downstairs.
Yep.
He thought that she was gonna go in her room, and she just went on the other
It's
side.
happened a lot with people though, where their kids gone off somewhere else to sleep and they can't find them, and they think
yeah.
my uncle lost his granddaughter in a Walmart. They were literally, she was right beside him, and then all of a sudden she wasn't, and it was the worst 7 minutes. He said 7 minutes it took them to find her, and they alerted the manager right away, and they locked down the Walmart right away. And
Yeah.
it's code Adam, I think they yell at Walmart, code Adam if there's a missing
Something like
child.
that.
And they started shouting, and then they found her, and she wanted to go to the toy section and didn't want to wait, and she
Wow.
walked off on her own. And like, and Uncle John, I don't think in this, she's now pregnant with her own child. Like, that's how long ago this was, and he still hasn't forgiven himself for that
Yeah.
happening.
I lost Cedric for 5 minutes on my
Oh.
street, and he loved to hide. Like, for him, it was a game. And like, the louder I would scream,
The
he
funnier
would
he
like.
thought it was, yeah.
Funnier thought he was. And then like I saw a truck. You know those delivery trucks for like delivering like fridges, stoves, and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Mhm.
furniture.
I saw the truck leaving. I'm like,
Oh.
I'm like, I hope he's not in that truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when I saw the truck at the end of the road, I was like praying, I was swearing
Yeah.
and praying at the same time
It's
that he was
scary.
not in there. And when I found him, I was so mad. And I told him, "You scared me
You have to answer,
so,
Mama.
so much. Like I'm angry for two reasons. One, you disappeared, and when I called you, you did not answer me. And the second reason why I'm angry is because you didn't answer me. You worried me so much
Yeah.
that I had to get neighbors involved.
Yeah.
We
I
were
mean,
5 neighbors searching for him around
Wow.
the block.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, they're not mad at me for asking help.
No,
No.
gosh, no.
They were more than happy to help. But like I felt like at the moment when I found him, like I felt such like a bad mom
Yeah.
because like he disappeared for a full 5 minutes, which felt like an hour.
And
But he did it again, like after that, another time.
Wow.
But that was the last time he did that to me.
Yeah.
Because like I can't handle that. Like now, that's
No.
why I'm having such a hard time letting
Yep.
him go
Yep.
in public places, and that's why I buy him orange, lime, flashy colors.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, and Rem, this is probably what, like, I mean, Annie's daughter, she's 10, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was scary when they're smaller, but I'm finding it's like as a woman anyway, but then having a teenage daughter is so scary now. Like
Yeah.
I like literally, Grace does not go anywhere by herself. She doesn't. I don't go anywhere by myself because with the trafficking and everything,
Well,
and
yeah.
it's bad in our area. Like, I mean, we've had several girls rescued in the last couple of years in hotels, right? Literally here in Trenton and Belleville. And it's so scary. And yeah, and it's scary for Grace. Like she's scared to like her dream is to go to Paris. She wants to go to Paris so bad. And she knows it's something she'll never be able to do by herself ever. Because it's just the thought, you know,
we grew up in a totally different time. I mean, number one, every one of my friends and I, we always had pocket knives on us, and we were always taught if somebody tries to abduct you, you fight and fight and fight. Do not let them get you in the car.
Right.
You do whatever you have to do to not be moved from one location to another. And my parents were pretty confident because anybody that kidnapped me would bring me back in 10 minutes. But now we know that the internet and social media has opened our eyes to the real life monsters. I do believe in monsters. They just all happen to be human.
Yes.
I've never met an animal.
I believe in evil. I believe in evil. I just happen to think they wear human faces, and it's what, and like you always used to tell, like they used to tell us, look for a woman, right? Look for a woman. Now it's some of these people who are running these rings are women. They're kidnapping women and girls and boys. And as a woman, it really offends me and makes me angry. Like, as a woman, how can you do this? Like, how can you, for money? Seriously? Like,
well, first of all, that person is probably not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Dana. Yeah, they wear and I always told our kids, they're not going to look like monsters. They're not going to be scary. They're going to look like mommy and daddy. Maybe they're going to be nice. They're going to ask you to help them find their puppy. And no adult in this day and age would ever approach a child to ask them to help you find their puppy. David always would tell them that's a red flag, because every adult in this day and age knows you do not approach a child.
You don't do that. There was a story last year. I think it was about a year ago. I think the woman was prison guard, so she knew how to defend herself, and she was going through the road. I don't remember what's it called, between Bathurst and St. Quentin here. It's about an hour long in the woods. Like it's a paved road, but it's just like no house for about an hour. And the woman stopped because it was a car on the side of the road, and the woman was waving for help. She stopped, and as soon as she stopped and got out of the car, there's 2 men that came out of the vehicle, and the women started beating the crap out of her, kicking her in the face, punching her.
I think I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, I think I talked about it when it happened. And luckily for her, she knew how to defend herself, and she went straight for the eyes, and she was able to get back in her car and drive. And the thing is, there's no reception in that area. So as
Ah.
soon as she was able to get reception, she called 911, and she explained the story, telling where she was and that she was coming as fast as she could to send the cops. But of course,
They were
they were
gone.
never able to find the people. But they spread the news around that there might be someone with an eye popped out going to a hospital somewhere,
Yeah.
but they never found him. And
Sure.
I think it was about 2 weeks later, it happened just on the Quebec side, not too far from here as well. The same thing. They tried
It
to
breaks
abduct
my
someone.
heart when I hear those stories.
It does. And
Yeah,
it just, and it makes you mad because you won't, like, we've seen that a couple of times and we won't stop, you know, or I won't stop myself, but David will roll down the window and say, you know, kind of like a slow roll and say, do you need help? No, we called somebody. We're like, okay, but we don't stop the car anymore. You can't, you just, you know, and it makes
It's
you
like
mad.
it makes the
turned into that.
world a darker place, and like
Yeah.
and then like we were raised in a generation that we would hold the door for a perfect stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I see an elderly woman struggling, my first reaction is I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and I'm going to help her or him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, may I help you? I do not want to insult them. I
Right.
just say, I'm seeing that you're struggling. May I assist you? Or if I see someone dropping something in the store and I'm seeing them having a hard time, I do it.
Yeah.
But every single time I get back up, I thank someone that this person did not take advantage of my innocence because
Yeah.
I was doing it out of kindness. And I do hope that never in my life I will have to protect myself because I'm trying to help out someone. And that will change me if ever that happens. Like,
Yeah.
if ever I'm helping someone and that person tries to take advantage of me, I probably will never trust to help
I
someone
think that's
else.
what makes you the angriest is how it changes you.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, I think twice now if somebody needs help, right? Like, you think, is that kosher? Like, is that
Is that
legitimate?
kosher? Yeah.
You know, like, is that, and I think that's the worst thing. And I know too, for kids, we would always tell the kids, scream fire. If someone tries to take you, scream fire. Because unfortunately, too many people see a kid struggling with an adult. You think, oh, that poor parent, that kid's having a meltdown or whatever. And we would also tell them, you scream, this is not my mom. This is not my dad. Because people pay attention to that. And that has saved a lot of children.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're teaching now too. You scream, this is not my mom and dad. Because people look at that and they'll go over and wait a minute, are you real? And sometimes they're like, no, the kid's being a brat. I'm really their mother, you know. But they still, you know, and a lot of times they'll be like, thank you though. Thank you for checking on my child to make sure.
And you can say, okay, if this is really your child, okay, we're gonna relax and can you show me some proof of that?
So that would insult me, but also reassure me.
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
and my thing is,
you can
since
be angry,
I started, since I started carrying, I avoid any kind of conflict. If there's an argument in the store and I need something in that aisle, I'll leave and go back to that aisle later. Because I can't afford to introduce a deadly weapon into a fist fight, you know. But by the same token, you know, me being a man, I do have the ability to, you know, you see that little old lady and she's looking up at the cereal box, and I can, ma'am, would you like me to grab that for you? You know, and it makes you feel so good when you can do it.
Yeah.
But then the people, when you're driving down the road, the people hitchhike. There's an old guy that hitchhikes up and down Route 26 all the time, and I just don't know him. I don't dare pick him up. I mean, what are the chances of two serial killers being in the same car, as Remy says? But you know,
but no, I mean, it just, and I asked my mom. I said, Mom, like was it like when you guys were growing up? did you, she goes, there would always be a neighbor, like when we were younger, that you knew you don't go to their house and visit or anything because something wasn't right. But she said, no, she said, I don't, and I don't know if it's, I don't think there's less bad people in the world. I just think it's more out there now than maybe it was, you know. I mean, I hope, I don't know. It just seems like it happens like so often, and it's just so, you know,
Our
and
awareness is
yeah.
bigger.
And the sex trafficking thing, this last thing I'll say about it is this is not happening in other countries. Canada and United States are one of the two biggest countries with the highest numbers. This is not happening in foreign countries, people. This is happening right in our countries, right in our cities, our towns. They're teaching hotel clerks now what to look for when people are coming into the hotel, like an older man, especially with the younger girls and stuff. Like they're actually training them. And that's what happened here in Belleville. The girl was trained and she knew something was wrong. And she rescued that 14-year-old girl. She knew something wasn't kosher there. And
can you imagine?
She'd been taken a year. She'd been taken from Quebec for over a year. And they found her and rescued her.
And the thing
There's,
is, like, even if they go home, they're never the same after.
Oh, they're
That
never
girl's
the
never going to be the same.
They've destroyed her for life. That's why there's no punishment good enough, because she's
I
going to
have
live
a
with
idea for good punishment. Bring him here for
Slow
a few days.
execution.
No, I won't get it.
David always
They'll
says, though, he
win.
says the death penalty is too easy because he said it's over and done with and they don't suffer.
Yeah.
Well, you got to do it slow. Well, if you mess with a kid, they're just,
There's no coming back from that as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's hard. Like being a survivor from a abuse, I had to deal with so many issues. I am blessed that I was not abused in a like horrible bad way, being removed from my parents and the whole 9 odd story. But it still had an impact on my life. Like I dressed like a boy for my entire teen years.
Yeah.
Because I told myself, if I am dressed like a boy, no men will ever touch me at all.
I used to tape myself down under my
I had no breast. I had like these little tiny little things. So obviously, and I was wearing like big baggy clothes. So it was like little bumps in my shirt. And I had a uniform and I made sure to wear men's clothes. My hair was always tied up, no makeup.
Yep.
And I would self-sabotage until I was a young woman.
I mean, I would have grown men making comments about my development because I developed early and noticeably. And it made me so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. Because what 12-year-old wants, you know, to me, 40 was old at 12 and 14, which is for 12 and 14, making comments about your body.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and it
That's
just,
wrong.
yeah, it is wrong. And, you know, and I am also a survivor too. And it does change you and it changes who you trust. Even when it's somebody good, like you said. Like
I couldn't even let my dad hug me. My dad could not hug me until I think I was like 12 or 13 years old. I was very young when it happened. So no men could touch me until my early teens.
Jean, I actually just saw that story. I just saw that before I came on tonight about that missing girl, and they found her living in a closet. I guess her mother actually took her biological mother, because she didn't have custody of her. I guess at the time, and yeah, I seen that.
And I don't know. It's just
insane
to me. I have worked with kids, primarily teenagers, since 1993. I've been in youth ministry, and you know, there were a couple times where a girl would come to youth group dressed inappropriately, and we say, "Hey, would you mind putting a t-shirt on or something?" You know, it's just, but we would tell them, "Listen, you if there's something wrong, if we did have that, like Annie was saying, the tomboy come in and she would dress in the baggy clothes and the
Yeah.
guys' clothes and stuff, we would have one of the ladies actually talk to them and say, hey, how things going? Is everything all right? You know, is there, and delicately touch the subject and just make sure that if that kid wanted or needed to tell somebody something that they could. Now there was a thing on social media a while back where kids would make a symbol. I'm not sure what
Yep.
the symbol was, but so that tell them, hey, listen, I need help. But
And I've been in the same situation as you, Tracy. I've been coaching soccer back in the days from like 2000 until like 2009, I think it was. And in those 9-10 years, you hear stories, you see stuff that you're not supposed to see.
Yeah.
You know, kids came to me and told me stories that if it happened to my kids, I'd be in jail because
yeah,
No.
I
would
hope I will
bury
never.
body.
David
ever-
always says that. He says they're worth going to prison for. My children are worth going to prison for.
Exactly.
You know? So,
Yeah, but there's a thing, and there's this man that told me this. He's a father. He says, I said to him, if ever someone touches my kid, knowing what I had to go through, I think I will end up in jail. And that person says that's the last thing you have to do, because then he will not only lose part of himself, he or she would lose a loving parent.
yeah.
The
I mean, it's
person
true,
he or
but at the
she
same point,
needs
as a
the
parent,
most.
You
I
say,
know
but
that
it's
person's
already-
not going to hurt my kid again.
No, I'm saying, and he says I'm saying this, and if ever it does happen to my kids, having the restraint not to do anything will be the hardest,
Yeah.
because sadly, these people, like the person that did this to me, was a family member, and for us not to, you know, it was a long time ago, so not to tarnish the family name, my father didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We stopped talking to them,
Right.
but he was not punished
Yeah.
accordingly, and he was 16, so he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like, oh, I was just discovering, playing around. No. He was 16. He knew what he was doing, and I was not even 10, so he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I find that for us victims, for us to actually move on, we need to see that they're being punished in a
Yes.
way
Yeah.
so that we can move on.
Yeah.
But they will never be punished high enough for us to move on.
Yeah. My thing would be to be smart about it. The punishment doesn't have to happen today. And
Yep. You
no
sound like
one
David.
ever
Karma.
Just so
No.
everybody knows, like, I mean, you know, no, but David always says, he goes, they have to find the body first.
Yeah. No. What is that they used to say? No body, no crime.
Yeah. I don't know how
Yeah.
talking about garden got on. I really don't.
Well, what
Because
do you fertilize your
serve
body?
as compost.
I know. And I just want to
Calcium,
apologize to anyone because I know this can
carbon,
be a tough
Magnesium.
subject.
What do you fertilize your garden with?
Yeah. The bodies of my enemies.
My Ali died, our dog. She was 17 or 18 years old. Anyway, she was very old. She passed away at our house, and we have a apple tree here. And every time we have an animal that passes away, we bury
Yeah.
the animal under our apple tree. So I'm like, you're gonna feed. Technically, I know it sounds crazy, but the fact that we put her in a small box with her favorite toy.
Yep.
That was one of the hardest thing to do. Like, her favorite toy is with her.
Yeah.
I know I should have kept it, but anyways, we wanted her to have her toy, and then maybe by now, it's been 2-3 years now, she's probably all decomposed,
Yeah.
and our apple tree is benefiting, but like having the benefit of that fertilizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And-
wood chipper.
I know
Yeah,
at David's parents' house out in the country, they live on a farm, and back of the barn is every animal from the last 30 years or so.
And the thing is, those are probably some really good apples because they're getting the nutrition.
Yep.
But there I mean, you think, okay, you have a decaying body and we think, ooh, gross, but there's bacteria, mycelium, and all these little enzymes and stuff in the soil that literally change the makeup of that to something that the plant can use. It's not the
Yep.
plant's,
Just the thought of it.
yeah.
Well, now my apple tree does not produce apples because my neighbor, her in a storm last year, the apple tree like fell over,
Okay.
and I was super happy this year, even though the roots, like the main tree fell. There's little babies, so
Yeah.
maybe in 5 years I will have apples again, unless
I'm never going to be able to look at anyone with a beautiful flower garden again and think,
It's like, who did you bury in your garden?
why is that so beautiful?
Did you see that meme when two gardener ladies? I can't remember the entire thing. It says, "I need help burying something in the garden," and then you see this lady. Where's your husband? And then like she's like shoveling in her garden.
Yeah. What do you think I'm bearing?
Where's your husband?
Yeah, but all right, it is 10 o'clock my time. Holy moly.
Yeah.
No wonder I'm so tired. No wonder the boy and the husband are over there like staring at me, daggers.
Lily must be sleeping.
I unplugged the internet and directly put it into so when I'm doing my live, so nobody has access to internet while I do this.
Oh, they don't like it.
Mommy.
Yeah, I'm getting like I can feel it. It's just funny. I just seen like 3 more people came in to the chat, and I'm like, gosh, it's 10 o'clock.
Well, it is Saturday night.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's date night, but on YouTube.
I do want to try. I want to try some more. I did one before Christmas, but I do want to try some more during the day on Saturday, just because it's definitely more convenient as a family and to get the people. I did pretty well. I had a lot of people in that chat when I did it during the day.
I find that I am also getting different people coming in on Thursday morning, and I don't know why they seem to enjoy that I'm answering questions.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to try, but I've been involved, and it's hard because I've been involved in so many, like either in lives or watching lives this week, like a lot.
Yeah. I was watching a YouTube help live stream with Dean Nemon and another guy, and they actually were using the StreamYard giveaway tool to decide whose question. Type in hashtag Q, and then they would let it pick because they had so many questions. And they said, okay, we'll answer yours.
That's when you have a live with like 300 people or something.
Yeah.
I think the most I've been up to is I think 30 something on my 1,000 subscriber giveaway.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Yesterday I had 28 people. I usually don't have that much. Usually it's like between 10 and 15. Like what? 28? It's just a regular Friday night. Like
Gene, I actually do have a copycat recipe for KFC gravy. I had it years ago. I haven't made it in forever, but I did have one. And I just wanted to answer your question about Lily. We are looking into having her as a therapy dog because that's why we bought her for Grace as a therapy dog for Grace. And we had one literally that was local here who trained your dog. First, they would assess them and see if they thought they would be good candidate to be trained for. They went out of business during the last 2 years. Kind of was hard on them, and unfortunately, they are no longer in business. So now the closest one to train her is too far of a drive. So we're hoping we can find somebody. That's something else we've been dealing with. I haven't really talked about it a lot, but last summer we finally got a new nurse practitioner who we love. We didn't have bad ones. We had really good ones, and we had one that was for the last year, and then we got this new one. And she's been helping us, and Grace has been getting a lot of tests. Oh Lord, the doctor's appointments. And it looks like Grace is high functioning autistic. And what they used to call Asperger's. They don't use that term anymore, but that's essentially, and
that's for your daughter.
And part of me, I'm not upset because she had, whatever. Grace, I'm upset that since she was 3 years old, we have been going to doctors and counselors and specialists, and all we've ever really gotten, we finally, a couple of years ago, we had one that said, okay, she's got severe social anxiety. But there was always more than just that. And I knew it, and nobody would listen to us until finally our nurse practitioner, Leanne, last summer said, I think there's more here than anxiety.
How old is she?
Grace is 19. So for 16 years, we've been fighting for it's same thing happened with Aiden. Aiden got his a little bit earlier. His diagnosis of Tourette's came when he was 10. But again, since he was 3 or 4, we were trying to get someone to listen to us because we're not hypochondriacs. We're not that type of people, right? And, we knew there was always something more, but no one would listen to us. Anyway, she realized, and she had Grace do so much test, and she came back. So this is the threshold for autism. This is where Gracie's testing.
So it's like in it.
She's like way above the threshold. It's obviously high functioning, thank goodness, thank God. But the important thing is now that we know, she goes to a specialist next month, in a couple of weeks actually, we can start getting her the proper therapies and things and help that she needs, and of course, when this happens, you go into research mode, and man, finding out so much about it, it makes sense. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it never entered our stratosphere. And of course you have a lot of that guilt because we've been dealing with so much with Aiden the last few years. Right.
But now that she knows that, how will this help her?
Oh yeah.
But how will, knowing this diagnosis, what, now going forward, what
there's
will
special
help her?
therapies, there's special, that she'll be able to go, and just being able to say to people, I'm autistic. It lowers people's, I don't want to say expectations because that's not the right word, but
they understand better.
Yes. And it's easier for her to, if people don't look at, she has to use a whiteboard to communicate with people when we go out because she just cannot
express herself
to people. And people look at you weird. If they know you have autism, they're like, oh, well, good for her. It's just weird how they change their thought process.
I don't understand. If someone, even though you're not diagnosed with anything, if someone has an easier way to communicate,
I know.
It's like, let's just say that, anyway, someone I know would say, well, I'm sorry, I can only communicate this way with you because this is how I feel comfortable. I'd be great. How can I help you? How can I assist you for me to understand you? Especially if it's someone near me. And if it's not, let's just say it's not even someone, I'm sorry?
Not everyone has a big heart like you.
Yeah.
I think that I was born in the wrong era.
I always used to say to Grace is a walking heart. That we've always said that about her. She is just one great big giant heart. And
you said she's 19?
Yeah.
My niece is on the spectrum, and she is just turned 20 or 21. But it was about the same time that they had they've linked it back to the MMR vaccine from that time.
Mm-hmm.
What's an MMR?
It's the mumps and
rubella vaccine.
I mean, they still they haven't proved 100%, but when she said it to us, I looked at her and I went, what? Yeah. And then she started some of the things, and then I looked at her and I went, oh my gosh, that explains so much. And I'm also angry for her because I think Gracie would have she would have had a much different experience going to school.
Yeah.
If she'd had,
she's homeschooled now, right?
Grace is not in school anymore. She graduated.
I'm 19, sure.
Yeah, but she had a lot of difficulties. I mean, for instance, her math. Grace could not get a job as a cashier because the machine will tell you how much money to give back, $20.50. Gracie doesn't know what to take from that drawer to give you the $20.50. She just doesn't. We would go to the teachers and we would say, look, because Grace had a special IEP, individual education plan for math. And we would say to them, look, the child can't tell time. The child can't do money. The child can't do simple math and subtraction without her fingers or a calculator. She's 12, she's 14, she's 16. What is going on? And this is what we would always say. I wish we had 20 of Gracie's in our class. Oh, she's such a joy to have. Well, I'm glad that she doesn't cause you any grief.
Right.
She cannot do subtract. She cannot tell you what 8 minus 5 is. Right, like that. She can't do it. And as long as she had a calculator, that's all they cared about. And we were like, and it was so frustrating. And if you got too aggressive, it hurt Grace. Like the teacher would be upset because, oh, Grace's parents
Right.
are. So
And ironically, now they're pushing parents to diagnose every single kid.
and it
Yeah.
just was so frustrating. And now I have an almost 20-year-old who, like, she can't,
Well,
and
it's still not too late. She's probably going to need
Oh no!
little
And now that
help.
we can now that if she gets this proper diagnosis, because I know there's a way for her to learn it, we just haven't
Yeah.
found it yet. And maybe now we will be able to. So she will, because she has to be able to at least be able to handle her own finances somehow, somewhat.
Yeah. We put 30 to 40 kids in a room all together with one teacher, and that's learned how to teach one way, and not all kids learn that way. She just has to find out a way to learn that works for her.
Yep.
Well, we talked about that the other day. It's like there was a meme on Facebook going around where they would ask, it was a bunch of animals, and it would be like, okay, you have to climb up that tree, but you have a monkey, but you have an elephant, and you have an alligator, and I mean, they're not going to go up that tree, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to survive. They just have to
Right.
find their own path.
Yeah. I always say this. I've said this, ever since the kids started showing difficulties. I would not change my children for the world. Would not change them for the world, but I would change the world for my children. I wish I could change the world for my children.
Sometimes you just want to lift mountains for them.
Yeah, and I just it shocks me. Like, I'm like, is it possible to actually have two children in the same family, both children in the same family from the same parents, both have neurological I hate to call it a disease, but I don't know what other words to use. And I guess it is possible.
Some of them are like generational. Like my sister has epilepsy, which is neuro.
Yep.
You just said the word. I'm sorry, my brain is mush right now. So, before, on my mom's side, my great grandmother would have had episodes. Before, epilepsy was not called epilepsy; it was called episodes. And there's actually women, especially women, that were treated as mentally ill.
Yeah.
They had woman issues or woman's problems. And they were put in sanitariums for woman's problems. Postpartum depression, all these legitimate things that we know of today, these people were institutionalized for. I'm like, oh my Lord.
So they didn't know what to do with Marie-Claude at all. And they treated her like...
Oh, I think the cat might have pulled his plug again.
They explained to my parents that it might be
there he is,
passed on. Like, it may, one of our ancestors had this thing going on, and we passed the gene. But I don't think it's confirmed if it's
well, I mean, David's never been diagnosed, but when we were going through all of Aiden's testing and everything, the specialist said to David, like, I can't diagnose you because you're not my patient. But he said, if you were my patient, I would definitely say you have Tourette syndrome too. And that is hereditary. It absolutely is. Yeah. And looking back when David was younger, like his mother said, wow, you did all those things. I didn't know it was, we didn't even know. We just
Well,
thought
yeah.
it was Aiden's
Yeah, back in the
personality.
days.
No, it wasn't,
Holy
Uh,
cow! Could you imagine somebody with the out? What do they call it? Outburst Tourette's
mhm.
symptoms.
Yeah.
Wow, that kid's possessed.
Well, even
Yeah,
when the
that's what I
doctor
was
told
gonna
us
say, back in
Aiden
the
has Tourette's, I even said to the specialist, he doesn't shout out swear words. And they're like, that's just less than 10% of people who have Tourette's have that part. And I didn't know that because that's the only kind I'd ever heard of.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so that's been the last couple of weeks. It's been rough, and it's starting to catch up with me because I've been emotionally eating like crazy the last 2 days. And I'm feeling
That's
it.
why you did so much sourdough baking.
Yeah. And just because I'm angry and I'm trying to deal with that. And I'm
Well,
not angry
there's
at Grace
nothing you
because
can
of
do
by
for
any
the
means.
past.
I'm angry that it took so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my heart hurts because I just think of what a difference her school could have been.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it. That's the
No,
thing.
and I know, and that's David's attitude, right? And he's like, "Hun, like we didn't know, and I get that, but I'm a mom."
Yeah.
I get you. I probably would be in the same boat.
Yeah. So
But
I will say, Grace has taken it with it and run with it. She's relieved.
Well, yeah. Now she has
She's
a
like,
reason.
Mom, that's
an
why I can't
explanation.
look people in the eye, because teachers used to always say, Grace, when she's doing this, part of being graded is you have to look the person in the eye. Grace could never do it. Like she physically could not do it, and she would get ill at the thought of trying to look this because it like, Mom, my eyes won't do it. They just she said it's like something stopping me from doing it. Now we know why, and why she there's just so many things. And Grace is like, Mom, I am relieved because this explains so much for me. And I'm like, Grace, I'm so glad you're relieved, and that's just Grace, though. I mean, that's just, like I said, I know she's mine, but she's just a wonderful young woman that, I'm dealing with that. I'm trying to deal with the fact that nobody listened to me. And, and I've got some family members who are like, oh my God, both your kids, there's nothing wrong with either one of your kids. And I'm like, you know what? Come live with us for a few days.
Yeah.
Oh, they love to give you opinions.
Oh, they're just picky eaters, and you let them get away with it all this year. Yep. Yeah, I did. I went to bed not sleeping at night because I couldn't get them to eat something just because I decided,
Oh, they love to. I don't know why they do that, because it does. In the end, it does not help us.
I had a doctor have to starve Aiden for 7 days. Starve him.
Why?
Starve him before he goes. This is when he was 4 and 5, because he'd only eat 4 things. That was it. And I couldn't get him to eat anything else. And I took him there for help, and they said, "Oh, you're giving in, blah blah blah." By the 7th day, I said, "The hell with it." And I opened up a yogurt tube and a juice box, and I gave it to him. And I went back to that doctor, and she said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "By day 3, they always give in." And I'm like, 7 days. Well, of course he didn't give in because it was something beyond his control. It's not that he chose to be picky. There was something in his physiological being that would not allow him to eat that textured thing or whatever it was. And nobody's thought then, oh, maybe there's something more going on here. The fact that he lost all his speech at 18 months, stopped talking. Took him to a specialist. They tested him for autism. No, he's fine. He's just, lazy. He's got a sister who talks for him. And I'm like, he would go like this. He'd hold this and he'd go, and you could see he would know what the word was. He would know it was cup. He could not get the word out. Could not get it out. And the cup would go flying because he'd be so angry because he couldn't talk. And nobody, until finally a counselor through the military that we were taking him to, because the school was like, his anger is out of control. Like, we got to do something about this. The counselor said, there's something more going on here. There's something more going on here. And if it wasn't for her, I don't know what we would have done, because she finally realized there was something more going on. And I just, I just wish they would listen to parents more. Like,
Yeah.
who knows
Oh,
your child more than you?
I know they know it all. They know it all. Absolutely. We have no knowledge. We're not the one that takes care of them, that soothes them, that sit with them. No,
I,
we don't. We
I
don't.
went to 8 years of college. I got an education.
Yep.
Mhm.
Lynn,
Just
I am
yeah,
exhausted.
I am too. And
I was
this
gonna
was
say the
great
same
though.
thing.
This was fun, guys. It makes up for me not having one last Saturday.
I had so much fun, but like I'm having a hard
Yeah.
time like keeping
No,
track
I
of
know.
everything.
I'm beat too, and I can't believe I brought that up about Grace. So I guess I needed to talk about it. I guess
Yeah.
because it's something
all good.
we've
Well,
been
I'm
dealing
happy
with.
that both of you have a way in, like a way, well, not a way out, but like the door has been open for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I'm just glad. I mean, we got the specials appointment quicker than I thought too. Like I was shocked we got it for like March 14th. I thought it would be like July before we would see anybody. So that was kind of shocking. So yeah, I'm just grateful we have a very good nurse practitioner who's fighting. Like she's like, no, she goes, I know you, mama. I know, and I know she's not making things up. And I see her struggling when she comes in here to have appointments with me. And so I was just like, I literally cried. I said, where have you been the last couple of years? She says, no, I see you. That's what she said to me. She goes, I see you, mama. And I see Grace and I know, and I just said to her, I said, but how is this possible? I kept saying that. How is this possible? Both kids. How is this possible? Both kids. She says, Lynn, she goes, I see families who've got 4 kids and all 4 of the kids have got something. She said, so it just, it's happening a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit in her food also.
Oh,
like
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's my
I
preferred
made a decision just before Christmas that I was going to change the diet, especially with my youngest one because he had Defiance. And I read that yellow food dye is one of the worst one for Defiance attitude. So it mimics Defiance attitude for 5 days if you consume in a higher quantity yellow food dye.
Yep.
So every single food dye chemicals that I read all the packages. From now on, Cedric, okay, I'm not perfect, so obviously I don't catch everything,
No.
but I removed all of that. So the red,
Yep.
the blue, the green, all of that, the yellow is all gone.
Yep.
Fake sugars. So that means all I use is cane sugar. There's no more white sugar. There's no much corn syrups. There's no more glucose. There's no more fructose. There's none of that. And then I give him choices now. Instead of when he comes back from school, I give him, okay, so you have cheese, you have a banana, and you have yogurt. So I'm giving him a choice without a choice.
Yeah. Yep.
So he has to choose between those 3.
Yep.
There's no more cochonnerie, like bad snacks with food dyes in it.
Yep.
And I found online organic multivitamins.
Yep.
And by doing these 3 things overnight, well, not overnight, like that, I started that before Christmas. We're in February. So we realized by the mid of January, he was speaking full sentences. Like full sentences.
Yep.
Like, Mom, I want this. Okay, so for us, it's full sentences. Before it was like mishmash.
Right.
I had to, so you want my phone, or, you need to go to the bathroom. And he would turn around and say yes. Now it's full sentences.
That red dye, man, Aiden, if he got red dye, he was insane.
Red dye is TDAH, ADHD. If you eat red dye on a regular basis, you have the same diagnosis, the same attitude as a ADHD.
Yep. He was crazy. It's
For a
better
couple of
now.
hours.
He's older now, so I don't have as much control over what he eats.
Yeah.
Especially when but when he was under 12, I was very strict about it because it changed him. Like you wouldn't. I'm like, holy cow, what is with you? And
just today, he had a cake. Like I bought a homemade, a pre-made cake, and I saw in his attitude, it was different. He was different today.
Yep.
So I said, okay, so we're gonna go sledding today. Like we're gonna go outside, and you're gonna you're gonna let the steam out. And he fell asleep like as soon as he got home. But just by doing these things, it's day and night with him. Obviously,
Good.
I still have Defiance because
Yeah.
he's used to it. But there's I'm seeing that just by changing the diet, you can change a lot
Yeah.
of things. So if everyone consumes these things, our kids consumes these things,
Yep.
they have diagnosis left and right. Most of them can actually just change their food, and most of the effects of the food would leave. Obviously, kids are still ill.
Yeah.
Because there's always
I mean, it
sadly.
didn't cure. I hate to use that word.
Well,
Cure,
there's
'cause
also
it's
the
not
fact
cure.
that kids are kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm really gonna
All right.
go.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
guys
everyone.
Bye,
have a good
everyone.
Coming. Everyone have a good rest of the weekend. Have a
Take
good
care.
week. And,
I'll see you
go
guys
back.
maybe tomorrow night.
Okay. All right. We'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.
All right.
Bye bye.